But this next month or so, yeah, you want out? Okay.
Who's that?
Oh.
Kitty want it out?
Uh-huh.
Is there a kitty that wanted out?
Yeah, one of the keys.
Kitty, kitty. Kitty, kitty. Oh,
Yo!
well, there it is.
Who's it? My phone or your phone?
Yeah, that's yours. It's close.
You're not charging it, no.
Okay. Just because of the heat, I'm not turning that light on, because that thing gives me heat.
Uh-huh.
That light's like one of those old ones that actually gives heat as much as, like, produces light. I really don't want to have that on, because man, it was muggy today.
Oh, yeah. Pretty muggy. Tomorrow will be a good day.
Isn't it supposed to be colder?
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, because then I can then I could go out and feel so muggy shitty, like, oh my god, it's just, oh no. Oh no. Let's see what the night crew is. Where the night crew at? Where the night crew at? The night crew at. Oh, I just got reminded. There's this video I saw last night of this guy named Bushy One String.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this dude who has a one-string guitar. I think it's the 8th string. And there's literally no other pegs, anything. It's just one string. And, like, it's very simplistic stuff because he's just playing 3 notes. But it just sounds awesome because he's just like, I think it was like Chicken on the Cone. It was like a song called that. It's like chicken on a cone, not a boon on bound, like it was like, damn, the passion was there. Like, it just shows that even like music that's simple can be like passionate as hell, and then it'll be like, this is good.
That's strange. We had our 2 hot days this last 2 days, and then Lubbock actually had
Their cold days.
Their cool days. And they're going back to the 90s again, and we're going back to the 80s again. So it's strange.
It kind of shows how much, like, there's drastic different, like, you know, weather that's happening, you know. Like, normally, shouldn't they be having, like, a little bit of a heat wave? And we were kind of... And we should have a little bit more temperate temperatures kind of start. Like, because the summer's starting to wrap itself up a little bit. Like, you should start seeing some of the... You know, not like, you know, cooling down, but like, you know, it's like a mild, you know, decrease in, like, the heat that normally happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it's still hot in August and stuff, but, you know, it ain't like, because I remember as a kid, or at least maybe it's just because I was a kid, but it didn't feel like, you know, 90-some degrees, like, you know, something balls off out there. But, again, I was a kid, you know, all I'm caring about is running around playing. So, you know, just like, you know, but either way, you know, it just feels like, it's kind of interesting. But it also just shows that, you know, there's just different weather around the world that has so many different effects.
I just thought it was strange, actually. They had 2 days and we had...
Watch, like, it'll be the summer, and they'll be like, it's 32 degrees in Lubbock and snowing.
Yeah.
He'll be like, what the fuck? Hey, Mick.
Come on, Matters. Let's get your grub.
Hey, curly buddy. Little fluff ball boy. Chicken on a cone, not a bone. I don't even know what the meaning of the song is. Chicken on a cone. You're making the dogs all upset, Meg. She's like, I don't wanna. Night crew, where you at? Night crew.
It's strange. Tucson is actually the hottest most of the time. Well, in the wintertime one time, they got 29 degrees. It's not bad, you know. It's not hot, it's really not cold. But they closed all the bus systems. And I had to walk to work.
59 degrees?
And it's 29 degrees.
That's like below freezing.
Yeah, but still ain't cold.
Below freezing is definitely like freezing is like colder than cold. Freezing's like one step. It's like cold, really cold, freezing cold. Like I mean.
Well, I've been in basically nearly 4 or 5 degree weather.
This reminds me of this meme. Because there's this guy from, I follow on Twitter who's from Europe or something, and he's visiting Texas. Oh, Count Dankula. And he's from Scotland. And he was visiting Texas for some event. And he's like, I'm sweating balls and I feel like I'm about to die of heat stroke. And then he has this boomer meme of like, Texans when they see foreigners complain about Texas. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cold. It feels about 114. Now, if it feels 120 degrees, we'll be talking heat. You know, it's just like, you know, like 6 degrees hotter from like 100+ degree temperatures. It's like, yeah, 114 degrees, that's cold, but 120 degrees, now that's hot. It's just like, what the fuck? It's just like, oh my god, but it's so true though. Because whenever I talk about climates and stuff, with like your dad, you like there's at least one time, you know, not like out of any whatever it says. It's just always I've noticed is mentioned. It's just like, man, I've been in weather that's been like cold as shit or hot as balls. What? It's just like, well, damn. I love it though. Man, like I think I think I'd say like the most worst environment I was in was literally like right when we got to Iceland because it was just before the sun rose, and I layered up a little bit, but I was thinking we weren't really gonna just hang around and sit around outside for a while, so I'm like, all right, whatever, you know, I won't like layer myself too much in the plane. And when we get out there, I'm just like, you know, vibrating basically, like I'm a human vibrator, like for at least like an hour and a half, just like from like 6 to 7:30, like I timed it too. I had my phone. I was like, okay, I'm gonna time this shit, and I was just like 6:30. I'm like, okay, we've been sitting here for 30 minutes. And I'm just sitting here, just like, and then I look at the clock, 7 o'clock. I'm like, oh god. And I'm just like, oh man, the sun hasn't even risen yet. And this is what time it like, I'm like, oh boy. And then I'm just like, oh. And we haven't gotten our bus to go to where our rental car is yet. And then around like 6:15 or 7:15, I'm just like, oh. The bus just rolled up. And then finally, 15 minutes after that, we finally get in. And it's actually kind of nice and warm. I'm like, oh god. It was just like, I like because I looked the temp and it was literally like teetering at 32 degrees, and honestly that like I've sat outside at like 20 some degrees for a little bit, but I'm layered up. Like I had like a hoodie and then like I think and then just my East German jacket, but that's more of a windbreaker more than like something that is meant to be like winter wear. So I didn't really. Oh wait, no, I had just my leather jacket and that, but that was it. I had just a t-shirt underneath that. So I'm just sitting here like, just like, oh god, this is miserable. I didn't think to pack like a scarf and, in my like carry-on to make sure that, I didn't think, to just have at least some basic items that I can just pull out, when I get out, just in case we have to sit around or something. I was not considering that. But once we finally got on the road and stuff, it was just like, that's when everything just went into peak pinnacle, like, oh, this is awesome. Damn. It's gonna be one of those days, or one of those nights, since it's the night crew, which is literally nobody. Just me. Just me. But that's okay. Let me grab my tea. It's probably not even cold, but at least it's somewhat cool. Man, I actually have no idea what was going on in the news for today either. Man, today's just been like my day of just like, I'm in a void. Like, I wouldn't know today if like the nukes were dropped or not. I'd just like, to me, it's just like one of those days of just like, if the nukes fell, I would not know. It'd be like, why is everyone running away in terror as if the doomsday is happening? What is happening? I just woke up into insanity. What happened? Man. It's just so muggy. Oh man, it's just so miserably hot. Like, I just have like natural claiming. Ugh, this is miserable. It's like midnight, but it feels like it's like 80 degrees still. I hate it. It's gross.
It is 80 degrees.
Oh, it really is? Oh, God. Seriously?
I look and see it. 87.
87? So it's in the high 80s? Jeez.
Yeah, 87 degrees.
Oh, so, and it must mean that it's hotter in this garage because of the concrete and stuff and how it absorbs temperatures and shit. What do? It is a muggy, disgustingly hot night. I just literally found out it's like 87 degrees. It's like, ugh. So I'm sitting here trying to make myself not miserable. I don't have a light on because the light I got also creates heat as much as light. And I don't want heat beaming on my face. I don't need to be sweating like a madman. You don't need to see like the stinky, like, lanky neckbeard sweat, even though I don't have like a neckbeard. But either way, you don't need to see that shit. So, if I look like a silhouette, that's also why. But, yes. It's just like here's how, like, last night I can feel it. Like, when I went to bed around, I fell asleep around 3, but I couldn't, but then I, like, woke up at 5, just sweating balls, was like, ugh. I couldn't go back to sleep because I was just like, oh god, this is awful. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll be up. So I was just like, what should I do? It's like, I'll just play Battlefield 5. So I did that. And then I started dozing off around noon. I was like, okay, I'll take a nap for a bit. Woke up around 4, sweating balls again. I'm like, ugh. So just like, I have a 4-hour little nap. Just like, oh god, this is just like, yeah, today is just going to be that day today. So, ugh. Like, I had a day of, like, plans that I was going to do, then I was just like, oh, well, shit. I just like, oh, man. I feel like I should not be sweating because I just feel like I've done that so much today. It's just like, Like, Robert's literally just in his purple shorts, and that's it. He's rocking the purple shirts. Purple shirts. Purple shorts, shots, shits. But, like, literally nothing else besides, you know, like some little slips, you know, little slip-on shoe things. So, it's just been like that day today, where everyone's just kind of, like, dragging themselves along, hoping the heat don't, like, succumb to them.
Really?
That's some cowboy standoff music. Oh shit, you're right. It does sound like it. Now you put that in there, I'm imagining, like, you know, some, like, gritty, dusty, you know, old, you know, like old sheriff, you know, just, you know, like one of those, like, you know, like one of those that are, like, out in those new establishing towns, like the first sheriff, you know, kind of plays outside of the law a little bit, you know, to get shit done. And then it's just like, meets down with that, like, you know, the big bad poncho that, you know, comes in as like that bad motherfucker, like, alright, I've been messing with this town for years now, but now your rent's come to an end. You, me, and if you're down, rest of your boys, they're gonna be locked up in the federal penitentiaries. You know, it's just like, well, if you take me down, well, shit, son, then your boys go scotch-free. You know, it's just like, but right now, it's just you and me. You know, it's just like, it didn't just hear that, but then out of nowhere, like a posse of the sheriffs comes in, you know, in the background, kind of setting up, you know, in case some shit goes down. And then, you know, like, but because, you know, like, the gang leader don't play by the rules, you know, he's got his ambush ready to set up. So, you know, it ends up, like, it's about to be a standoff that ends up becoming, like, a huge fat, like, I could see that shit. Could totally be in film animation. Oh, yeah. What was this comment up here? The Pentagon's agency is responsible for military biotech just posted a listing about commercially managed underground urban tunnels and facilities able to host research and experimentation. That does not sound good. That don't sound good. I don't like that sound. It'd be like, I'm interested in the idea of, like, underground, like, urban tunnel facility ideas and stuff, but I mean, commercialized and then just like, let's do research and experimentations with this stuff. It's like, how about no? How about it's used for just, you know, as like a voluntary service, you know, to help with like population or something like that. I don't know. Like, I can see ideas for that to be okay, but, you know, overall it's just like, can we just like can we just manage what we got on the surface better? You know what I mean? It's just like, we have plenty of surface. You know, we can, like, with what we got going now, we can easily, you know, like, manage what we got. But we just, as, you know, societally wise, just choose not to. That would be the worst place for a zombie plague virus. Oh, yeah, because, well, I mean, it goes both ways. It's the best place if you want it contained, but if you are in that zone and you can't get out because it's quarantined and you're not infected yet, you're fucked. It's the worst place. It's basically kind of like a dog eat dog world in that facility, and if somehow the people who are not infected survive because they basically kill off all the people in there, it's just like, yeah, that could definitely be, I mean, there's definitely going to be some societal implications about the people who come out of that. Like, I mean, there will have to be something. I don't know, dude. But overall, that's like a no-no. But most likely it'll be used to capture people and transport in secret business where they experiment on mind-control implants. I wouldn't maybe necessarily say they're probably experiments specifically just with mind control. I mean, I'm not going to say they aren't, because our country's had a history of trying different techniques for easier manipulation of the mind to control them, do their interests and stuff like that. So I'm sure are doing weird experimentations with that type of stuff as well. And yeah, like I'm sure it'll be something like that. Also, maybe like research for transhumanistic technology, which, as much as I'm an advocate for transhumanism, that would definitely be something I'm against. Like in order to progress that technology, I think unethically experimenting on people to see if it works is not the way to do it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, no, thank you. Like, how about we don't do human experiments? How about like we let people volunteer to take part of these services to help research for it if they want to? So it's all in a consent fashion, so they understand what they're getting into. It's like, hey, I want to volunteer to get like the first attempt to have like a transhumanist arm or some shit, right? Well, it's like, okay, I mean, well, here's like a contract letting you know all the implications and everything that could happen from this, so it's just like, just understand what you're getting into and please read this, it's just like understand everything, the possible ramifications, consequences, etc., like as long as there's an actual system, developed for something like, for like science development and research, which for the most part I think there is. At least on the surface, that's what I'm okay with. It's like, that's what, like, because I think there should just be a bit, like, I mean, there should just be transparency with science and development research anyway. I mean, because it's not something that overall benefits everybody, so why should we withhold this? Like, I mean, there's, that type of, like, research and technology isn't something, like, I don't really see a reason why you have to be so secretive with if it's something that could potentially benefit everybody. Like, when you'd be like, hey, we just developed this really cool technology that can help with this problem about, like, people or whatever. And it's just like, oh, cool. Let's like, work on trade and commerce and licensing, trade and stuff like that to, spread this tech. Like, stuff like that I'm alright with, but it's just like this, let's, like, this unethical, authoritative, narrative, let's adjust this whole system to our narrative, appeal to it, with rich powers. It's just one thing that is a serious negative consequence of this type of thing that's happening currently in society, where we are seeing a lot of technological advancement, a lot of different societal norms changing, and these are things that inherently I'm not against, but how it's happening in the way it's being done is something obviously I'm inherently against. So it's just like, it's this really weird, it's this kind of weird, like, dichotomy of I love and hate it. It's just like, there's certain aspects about it I'm like, but at the same time it's just like, but how it's all being orchestrated and everything is just like, no thank you. I'm a big no for this. All DARPA does is develop brain machine interfaces. Damn son. The programming. They can electronically induce artificial nerve impulses, thoughts, emotions, brain implants. This using electrical stimulation of the brain to create artificial synapse. Yeah. I mean, with something like that, like with brain implants, stuff like that.
Bitch!
Oops. But, stuff like that, like, with brain implants, for example, as a transhumanist, it's something I'm alright with, but it's... The implant itself shouldn't be, like, one that manipulates a thought process. It should be one that uses the brain to kind of either have like an extra stimulation of creativity or extra stimulus of, you know, solving mathematical formulas, stuff like that, you know, or or problem solving. It should be something as a benefit, you know, for, you know, humanity. It shouldn't be used as a bane on our existence. It should be used as for a benevolent, you know, because for these type of things, you know, like when it comes to my transhumanist philosophy ideas and all this, I'm all in favor of it in a benevolent sense. I support Neuralink. God is in the machine. And who made that? Okay. Who made the machine?
Here.
Oh, lordy, lordy. What
Come
a
on.
great set. Here, hold up. I can call. There. Usually it's like having a bag of something will get his attention. Well, if that doesn't work, let me get the wheat thins that are over here.
You in there?
Yeah, he is. I will go. Let me get him. Hey. Come here, you dork. I see you, little snoot. Come here. You're just literally like on your belly, just like, I want love. Give me love in here. You have to reach your arm in here, buddy. Get out of here, come on. This bastard. You are pathetic.
Thank you, sir.
You had to grab his poor little neck and be like, nah, come here, buddy.
You want
Blah.
You want to sleep out here much of that, and then actually go to my room and that opens the door and the bell starts barking. So
Kind of tempted to kind of switch over. I'm just gonna do that.
you're good. I'm gonna do this. Okay. I'll send you the other.
Alright. Same one.
Yep.
Bang. Let's move some stuff around. Okay. Really? Get out of here. Go over there. Okay. Travis Robbery. I know, what a beautiful sight, right? It's a beautiful sight. Beautiful, I tell you. Ugh. Alright, whatever, there we go. Works out. All works. Oh. I think my tea is over here. Oops. Yep. There we go. Tea. Bring on the tea. That was early. It was good. I mean, I were just kicking it for the most part, just hanging out. Kind of venting our stresses with each other and shit. Just like, yeah, shit's bullshit. And I'm just like, yeah, shit's bullshit. So, I mean, at the end, it wasn't bad. I was just like, he kind of surprise visited me earlier. I was just like, oh, well, howdy. I'm just like, what you doing? He's just like, I just want to see you because I haven't seen you in a while. I have a feeling, like, because last night when I was talking with Logan and shit, he was noticing that, just like, you haven't really talked to Harley in a while specifically. You know, it doesn't seem like, you know, it's like, things are good or whatever. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just because, it's like, I just don't feel like he's just doing the smartest ideas with what he's doing right now. It's just like, I'm just like, So, in a way, I did kind of feel somewhat strained from it, but at the end, it was good. You know, Harley being Harley, I suppose. Oh, what's this up here? DARPA has DC brain implants on mind, so it's able to guide their movements through tones using artificial intelligence. Oh yeah, I think I remember hearing something about that. Something about like using ways to help guide them along with their path tracking to kind of find their goal at the end. These little mazes that they make for them. Boom. Bow loaded. Smoking up all night. Smoking bowls. Getting high all night. I'm now thinking of this skit, or this bit, this news clip actually. It was a bit making fun of a news clip of this 700-pound man getting literally infused with a chair. Carl, you probably have heard about it before. And he died as people were literally trying to get him out of the chair. And I'm just remembering this bit. Transfer chair! Couches in disguise. That happened in my city, my news station. Oh, did it? Oh, shit. I didn't know it happened in your city. I remembered we talked about it once before. I forgot that happened in your city, dude. Holy shit. Yeah, like, he literally got infused to his chair. Transfer the chair! Couches in disguise. I'm trying to be a couch. I'm evolving. Stop. No. You're disrupting the process. Transfer the chair. Transfer the chair has rights to you now. So did a McDonald's employees that ran away from the midget. Oh my god! I seen that midget around downtown. Oh man. Dude, I feel kind of you should, if you ever see that person again, you should be like, hey, I watched this podcast and they covered the time where you where that lady freaked out because you were a little person and shit. And yeah, here's the clip and stuff. Just show them and be like, hey, have another little person or a little midget or whatever, like whatever the proper term is for them. I don't know. I want to be nice, but I mean, I've even seen some midgets call themselves midgets. So it's just like I don't know what's proper or not. So whatever, midget, little person, I don't care. Whatever that specific little person / midget deems appropriate, I will call them that. Which is more likely they're gonna say, just call me by my name, thank you. But anyway, still, it's just like what total pivot. But still, like that would be kind of awesome. Just be like have another fan who's a midget of DFF because he got Peter the little guy, which TJ promising Peter the fucking little person episode, and then that was awesome. I love that episode, to be honest. I love how they tried to be nice, but it just devolved like into like little people jokes. Like they fell really short on doing trying to be respectful at the high expectations that little people have. But I'll see myself out. Okay, I'm not actually seeing myself out, but oh man, that was bad. I seen a commercial of a Christian pastor who claimed that through the power of prayer, he has seen midgets grow in size. I'm like having a Tim Allen brain melt right now. What? Hey, a Christian pastor has claimed through the power of prayer he has seen midgets grow into a full-size man. So you're just like, what the fuck? Okay. You're like, all right, that's one for like the batshit book,
Yeah,
the book of batshit people. John Oliver did a video about it. Oh my god.
Well, you used to be midget size, and you grew into the size of a full-size person.
True. Thing is, like, you're just really, I mean, the thing is, you're just really falling short for the little people's high expectations on what other people see as a very minuscule problem on society. But I'm just throwing little people puns now.
But back then you were just a kid, so...
Yeah. I kind of fell short on qualifying as little people. But
Standard.
You are bitching, you bandito.
What's the deal, Bendy?
The only catch was you had to send money to the church over the phone. Of course.
I open this door and you're gonna go out.
Because that's what a lot of these pastors are. Like 90% of pastors are there for the money. Hey, you can... all your problems will be solved through the power of prayer, but you have to give me like $100. Through a donation. A donation. It's just like... It's like lame. Lame. How about I don't give you money, and you just, help my problems like you supposedly do? Rick Wiles. Oh, yeah. That's going to be a juicy one. I'm going to be doing that one tomorrow. That's going to be a juicy little bit. On a little side thing, I'm going to see if I can get, what was I about to say, Discord or maybe Skype at least set up. So at that point, maybe I can at least have like at least voice communication. Because if so, I'll have you definitely join in on it. Bandito. You buddy boy. You're like, me. Me. I'm thirsty. Man, what a Fruit Loop, dude. Here's how I imagine this Ignorism going with Rick Wiles. The first half, here's the first third of it. I'm gonna be laughing my ass off of how absurd it is. The middle third, I'm gonna be like, my god. And then the last third, I'm gonna be genuinely angry and start going on actual rants. Which in that case is probably gonna be like the first 20 minutes is gonna be just me laughing at the absurdity. Then a good 10 minutes is just me what am I even listening to? And then the rest of it just ranting off about nonsense. That's at least how I see it going. Cause he's just insane, dude. He's just fucking insane. You know what I mean? Have you seen the iDubbbz commentary Full Force? Not yet. I know of iDubbbz but I haven't seen his commentary yet. Or documentary, I should say. I have seen it floating around YouTube, but I just haven't spent time seeing it yet. Sweet boy bandito. React to it. Well, hey, I guess I could as like a little side bit. Just and I mean, I don't know how long it is. I'll just see how long it is and just kind of go off it. Like if it's a long one, I'll at least try to do it like 1.5 speed, so I can at least be a little quicker. But overall, I'll at least check it out. Call into JLP's show. Oh, I totally should. I totally should, dude. Dude, fuck yeah. I should, dude. Oh, I should. I don't know when he's live, so I'll have to delve into that. When I find out when he's live, I'll just kind of like Nick did. Ooh, cool. He posted his videos. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to see what when it is, like, and then like go on to his live show, record it, and then just call in and be like, "Hey, what's up?" You know what I mean? Like, if anything, I just want to be like, what's your thought on this, man? I'm just kind of curious. He does this show every week, like Kyle, during day hours. He lives in LA, so your time zone. Okay, that at least makes it easy. Makes it easier. I love how there's you want to know what's funny? I love all these conservatives that live in Los Angeles and yet bitch about everything wrong about, the liberal left of LA and the West Coast, blah, 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 blah. And yet they live in it. They frolic in it all the time. Like Ben Shapiro, JLP, all the likes. It's just like, really? Aren't you hypocrites? Aren't you kind of hypocrites for being in the same places that they are and participating in everything that they are in a sense? That's basically the same love it or leave it argument. Yeah, because they love it. That's why they don't want to leave it. The reason why they bitch about it, because at the end of the day, they love it. I live in LA, the homelessness is off the charts. Hey, same in Portland. I mean, all these metropolitan areas, LA, Portland, New Orleans, Dallas, Alexandria, all these different random cities and shit have homelessness problems off the charts and shit in comparison to how they used to be like even a decade ago. It's just like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, I'm sure, honestly, I bet a decade ago homelessness was still a problem, but I don't think it was probably as severe as an issue. I've never seen in Portland with so many homeless people before. Honest. Like, it is gone probably the worst it's ever been. And that I would probably say that it is the same way in LA. It's the same way in San Francisco, in Dallas, in Houston, and Miami too, even all these other places. New York especially, big apple of the world type of shit, so many people there. Fortunately, I have a house in the mountains in California, just outside LA. Oh, that must be a beautiful place. Out in the mountains, just outside LA, kind of get to overlook all of it. LA is the worst homeless I've ever seen, worse than Portland. I imagine it. LA is way bigger than Portland. Like, so I imagine it honestly being worse. I can't imagine, dude. Because I haven't been to LA, but I definitely, if it is bad, if it's been the worst it's ever been here for our own problem, I imagine it the same way anywhere else. So it's just like, I can imagine it just being fucking insane. But the recent fires destroyed the trees just outside my house. Got it so close. Fuck, man. Yeah, fuck. World's literally on fire. I love it. No wonder I'm so hot and sweaty, because our world's on fire. I am indirectly feeling it. So, yay. It's supposed to be cooler tomorrow. I hope. But either way. Hey, Bandito. Hey, buddy. Hey, pretty boy. Oh, you handsome boy. He's so sweet. It was like, I got enough pets. Harley's fire. I don't think he has enough time to go out in the middle of the woods and start a fire. And if he did, I'd probably fucking kill him for it. Like, nah. There's just no way he'd get away with shit like that. That is an unforgivable crime in my book, right there. As a friend, right there. If I heard like a forest fire started and he happened to be in the same area and there was a fire that kind of got out of control that they tried to put out but really couldn't, I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together. Be like, you motherfucker. This is so like, you motherfucker. Like, this is some shit that just affects everybody. Die! It's just like, no! How dare you! Man, then I just think about that, and then I'm like, oh boy, look at the Amazon. Was Carlson trying to dox me? I don't think he's trying to dox. I think he was just curious in the area, but Joe Rogan's leave to LA next few years. Plan to fly in once a month, record months worth of shows over a week, and then drop them piecemeal. I was curious, Bill. I used to be there. I just love how quickly that escalated. I was wondering if they got the fire. Honestly, if I hear fire in California, I just assume it's like anywhere and everywhere. Like that's just what I assume about California's fires. Is like it's anywhere and everywhere. That's where it is, right? So there is a wildfire going on in California. Where is it? Yes. It's just like, oh, so it's everywhere. Yes. And then I bet a lot of far right wingers would, not necessarily because it's just like far right wingers would be like, this is what happens when you get liberalism. Your your state literally turns into fire. God literally purifies the fire of the lands of liberalism. It's like, oh God. No bueno. No thank you. I'm good. I think I'm good with something like that. Thanks. I don't want such insanity. Almost as highest in the big cities because all technological jobs BS and being nominated is way faster than anything. Yeah. Like, if there's one thing that's definitely, I have to give credit to my friend Stefan, Rip City Baseworks, on here, is that he got himself into that industry. He kind of saw the, writing on the, writing on the paper. It was like, oh, I should probably, get into a job that actually is going to, still be around for the long term and shit. And it's just like, well, shit. He definitely is capable of it, and he is. And he's set. He's got himself set. And it's just like, damn. Well, all of us runts, essentially, all the grunt work people are kind of, being left out, forgotten and shit at this point. It's just like, oh, man. Because this whole system is, like, pretty much built in a sense of, like, hey, how do we manipulate any opportunity to be given out to just anybody? Essentially, it's like the only opportunity that would be available, essentially, is if, like, you essentially fuck over someone else or a bunch of people so you can get yours. That's just how it's ran. And I'm just not, like, I don't have that mentality, It's just like, I don't want to fuck people over. I want to, like, help bring other people up, It's just like, because I seek, having, everyone having an equal opportunity to inspire to do what they need to do and move forward in whatever they want, And that might not mean they might move forward in what they're doing now, but they can use that to explore other opportunities until then. But that's just not the way it is. I mean, there's people who just get fucking lucky, and that's just it. They're fucking lucky. I woke up in the middle of the night, and the entire sky was bright red. Fire was surrounding me from every direction. Fuck, man. That shit would scare me, dude. Honestly, like, I've talked about it on stream once, but, like, the number one way of me, of, like, the number one thing that absolutely vividly scares, like, the one thing I am, like, the way, it, like, the most, like, the one thing I would never, ever, ever want to ever, like, die from, it was burning to death. That is, like, the literally most terrifying, most scary way to fucking die, to me. So to have, you know, to be in a place where you're pretty much off in the distance, surrounded by all these fires, I would have bailed a while ago, dude. Just that fear alone would have made me, like, I don't want to, like, wake up and basically be burning to death. You know what I'm saying? All my neighbors were trying to escape and horses were running wild out of their stalls. Fuck, man. Dude, I can't imagine being in a place like... I mean, I love, you know, being in a place like that, but to basically have it in a firestorm, fuck. Like, that shit's, you know, it's terrifying. And what's even more especially terrifying is that this is becoming far more rampant, becoming far more of a common occurrence, becoming increasingly more severe and more increasingly worse as years go on. And nothing's being done to even attempt to try to minimize these issues, besides just fight them off when they happen. And it's just fucked. Lots of animals died. Oh. I feel bad for them. I really do have an empathy for them, because they, imagine, you know, it's just like the way they died, you know, they either suffocated, which is they were lucky, they passed out and then suffocated to death before they were burnt alive, or they were just outright burnt alive. And I can't imagine, you know, how, like, just the gruesome fucking sounds they're making, you know, as they're dying. It's fucked up. And that, I mean, like, it's because it's not even the sense that they're just dying. It's the sense that an entire ecosystem where all of them have a sense of, you know, a place and where they continue to have this sustaining ecosystem and environment going, and all of a sudden, you know, to have it all just burn out and then everything die off and have just a barren wasteland, like, and have it pretty much happen every year and get worse and worse every time. It's like, how can we expect, you know, to survive as us as a species when everything around us is just fucking burning out and dying, you know, and we're sitting around like, this is fine. Amazon burned an internet with direct browsing to a Fire Stick device. Yeah. Yeah, if you look up the Amazon fire, I use DuckDuckGo, so that actually does direct me to the Amazon, like, fires and shit. But if you go on Google or any other service, you're going to see their stupid little fucking device, their little pad thing, or whatever the fuck. Because they want to brush it under the rug. They don't want the fact that having an international accountability to solve the Amazon wildfire issue, not only to try to stop them, but to rebuild a lot of that after the fact. Just so, and then Bolsonaro admitted that he started the Amazon fires. Can we just call him for what he is, an outright fucking fascist? Like, that's just what he is, dude. He's outright sympathizes with military dictatorship. He sympathizes with, you know, fascist ideology. Like, he just is. Like, everything about him is. Like, not to do the Godwin's Law argument, but Hitler was elected, and look what happened afterwards anyway. You think Bolsonaro won't do the same? Especially if his tendencies? See satellite image of the Amazon fires? Yeah. And it literally looks like the world is fucking burning. Because, I don't know, it fucking is. The world is literally on fire, and everyone... There's wildfires in Siberia, too, by the way. Just to let you know. There's wildfires literally fucking all over this planet. And nothing's being done about it. Like, I mean, there really needs to be some international accountability for the environmental crises going on. I do. I really, like, as a principle, that should be something we need to take account for. It should be done in a more authoritative measure. Like, we can't fuck around with this shit anymore. If we actually care as to sustain ourselves as a species, maybe we should, act like it. Be like, hey, we should, feel like we're being threatened with our lives with this shit at this point. Yeah, maybe like 40 years ago it didn't feel so much like that, but it ain't 40 fucking years ago now, ain't it? It is 2019, the world's literally on fucking fire. And by 2100, the entire Middle East and pretty much the entire, everywhere of North Africa, like probably like at least half of Africa will be uninhabitable. I don't know. That seems like that would create a lot of problems unless we account for climate change as a factor. And try to at least, hold some accountability to solve these fucking issues and hyper increase our funding and development to try to help deal with these issues by any and every fucking possible realistic way possible. Like, we have to literally do the everything approach. How do we solve climate change? Everything. Yes, everything. Like, whatever, anything. That it's to that point. I don't care what the fucking you got a solution? Let's try it. Like, it's that point, It's like I'm willing to literally be okay with anything. Like, at this point, maybe not literally anything, because if it's like, how about we genocide like half the people on this planet? Will that help? No, fuck off. But like, but still, like, there has to be something done. Dave Rubin disagrees with you because of his classical liberal principle ideas. Well, he can go fuck himself because he's a retarded piece of shit. So, fuck you, Rave Dubin, you dumb fuck. Like, I'm not willing to, be like, you should be accountable of the speech that you say about this. Like, that ain't gonna be something I'm for, but when it comes to actual actions done about that, that's another story. You could talk all the blibber-babber bullshit, how you think it's not happening, to deny reality because you're a fucking idiot, but as soon as you put some action into that, that's a different story. We need a Space Force. Oh boy. That'd be fun. Let's use it to, like, invest that into, like, little mini spheres. Like, little Dyson sphere things. Like, why don't we just do that? Little Dyson spheres. Like, little mini spheres. Not, like, actual literal, like, star Dyson spheres, but, like, we make our own little mini stars, and we just Dyson sphere around those, and we just have them as like little orbitable little moons around our planet that, just house like millions of people at a time. Like, at first we'll have, like, it could hold like 10 million. At first there'll be like 1 million in there, so over time, if it populates while another one's being constructed. I want to send a probe to Europa. Oh, I would too. David Rubin says use the private sector. Boo! I don't trust the private sector. It needs to be centralized planning when it comes to the environmental crisis. When I say the anything approach, I don't want no private... Like, if the private sector wants to do their own development research, I'm okay with that. I don't care. But if they want to take control of the research and everything and actually use it to try to boost their own narrative, that's another story. If they're lobbying it against for their own narratives, it's like, no, thank you. How about if you want to actually help and work with us? Go ahead. Tardigrades? Oh, you mean like an actual life probe? You know what? Super small anthropod-like creature. Yeah, I know about tardigrades. Yeah, like actually kind of putting panspermia into effect. Only it's artificial because we're doing it. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I mean, because that life will evolve to be other things and different things. Like, I mean, and adapt to that climate event and that ecosystem of what that Earth, moon, planet, whatever it is, And by that point, it's not going to be exactly recognizable to what's here at home. And so I don't think there's nothing negative about that. I mean, there's a theory that, some of life on Earth came from, from, you know, cosmically from another planet possibly, or another solar system, and eventually over time landed here. That is a theory. It's panspermia theory. So, I mean, for us to do it ourselves, I mean, I'm okay. It makes sense, and I'm fine with it, because that's even a theory hypothesized about us. I'm not entirely 100% like thinking it's true. I think there is an element of it that, you know, plays a role in that. I think, you know, there is a factor about it. Like, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of different components, you know, for life that, you know, eventually over time, like, you know, water, carbon, silicates, stuff like that, just over time, you know, hitting the planet, you know, of course, you know, that was a thing, but for, like, actual literal life to be on, like, a probe and, like a natural artificial one to go, that one's a little, I don't know, but to have all the components over time, you know, hit, you know, in that type of sense, that I, you know, think is a factor. Imagine will not be able to grow and reproduce on the moon, only lie dormant. Maybe. We don't know. That is a possibility. They might just be dormant and just kind of be like in a homeostasis. But at the same time, they might thrive, or they might live just as fine. They might be okay. What else is? Look it up. A satellite recently crash landed on the moon carrying water bears. It is believed that they are now survived and contaminated the moon. Personally hope the infection spreads and it will grow in size significant, encompassing the entire surface of the moon until the Space Force is needed to battle these creatures. I mean, if they survived on the moon, that would be interesting. They can survive dormant in space, proven with experiment satellites. Yeah. So, it'll be... Actually, if anything, I'm kind of curious to see what they will do on the moon, dude. I'm kind of curious. Let's use the Space Force to just study them. Let's just use this Space Force, NASA. Let's just use our space. You know, let's use it to, like, you know, study them, see what happens. And maybe if we can use that to potentially maybe help terraform the moon. Imagine that, dude. What if we terraformed the moon? What implications would that have? Could it even be possible? I mean, I know terraforming is a possibility. I doubt they do anything really. Maybe. I mean, the thing is, these are things that we haven't really tested yet. So, we're, you know, things actually really going to happen. But, at the same time, it is possible that there could be something that could potentially happen of it. Maybe that we can, maybe more, like, I think either way, it will grant us more information about, you know, life itself and understand how it survives or how, at least life as we know it, can survive and see what we can do. Moving forward with, you know, surviving on other places that are like exoplanets that are habitable, but not necessarily like survivable, you know what I mean? Called water bears for a reason. They spend most of their life cycle in water, feeding, reproduction, growth. Yeah. So, I mean, I do recall that there is water on the moon, but it's just ice. So, it's just like... you know, like, it's not exactly, you know, what they're going to be able to use, but, you know, it's potential that they could survive off it. So, again, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what, you know, that it's very likely they'll probably just be dormant over time, but if they're able to survive for a little bit, that can give us a theory about how to, that gives us like, that's very fruitful. If they're able to survive even for a little bit on the moon and then go dormant, that gives us a lot of information about the potentiality of maybe, you know, terraforming the moon. And honestly, I don't even know what implications that would have for its orbit and stuff, but maybe that could, maybe that would be interesting, dude. I'd be curious to see, you know, what that would do. You know, I just, like, that would be a really interesting future to have. Have a by, you know, exoplanet, moon, you know, habitable, like, two habitable, you know, objects, you know, orbiting each other. Well, one orbiting one of them, you know, orbiting around the sun. That would be so cool. That would be kind of interesting to see, like, what that would look like, you know, from the surface, and like how we can adjust to life there. Because obviously gravity, unless we make artificial gravity on there on the moon somehow, it's not going to be the same, obviously, as on Earth. It's probably going to be the same gravity as it is on the moon now. So, unless we have, like, a artificial, like, atmosphere dome around the thing, I don't think we're going to have... That also has, like, an artificial gravity generator thing. I don't think gravity is going to change. You know what I mean? So, I mean, maybe ever so slightly. Very ever so slightly, just because there's a little bit more mass on the moon itself. But, again, very little, and it wouldn't mean anything. So, it's just like... That would be the only question about terraforming the moon. Gravity. What do we do about that? And atmosphere. Like, we could build... Like, eventually, an atmosphere could be built naturally over time, but it's not going to be in anywhere in comparison to how it is. So, what could we move on, going on, like what can we do to adjust with that? So there's a lot of interesting questions and rebuttals to the idea, but either way, I think it does help us give us more information on an idea maybe to terraform other planets. Because I think that's something we should potentially, to research about and see, hey, we should try this idea out, because... Not just because of the whole climate change aspect, but because I think that can also help terraform our own planet. Like re-terraforming our own planets. So, not only would research and development for terraforming exoplanets and other planets and moons and stuff would help with that factor, we can do that here on our own planet. So, I think I think it would be a really great way to do kind of like a multi-beneficial effort in trying to terraform other planets and re-terraforming our own planet so we can have it continue to sustain ourselves and to continue, helping sustain the environment to comfortable conditions that doesn't fucking have the world literally on fucking fire. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. Like, terraforming, that's always been a very interesting idea that while it's definitely still relatively in the realm of science fiction, I am definitely in favor for. There's, I think there can be possibilities of, research into that aspect. It's definitely a futuristic, philosophical aspect I have. But I think it's one of the more sooner, like, not sooner, but, like, kind of more, like, next 100, 200 years, aspect, to see moving forward. I mean, that depends how society... Like, if society decides to get its head out of that, so I mean, society has a global, like, the humanal global society just gets its head out of its ass, starts working together shit, maybe they'll start thinking, like, terraforming might be a good idea and shit. But, not happening. That's not what's going on, unfortunately. Gaseous and steaming. I imagine a swarm of cancerous infection with tumor-like growths constantly eating each other, gaseous and steaming. Oh man, that sounds really disgusting, but really interesting. Very interesting life. Eventually making strange alien howling noises and mating calls. Some weird shit like that. Some weird ass noises that make no sense. And you're just like, what the fuck? You're like, what? What's going on? Beg your pardon? Oh, man. You can start seeing kind of some of my... Seeing all my, like, sweatiness. Ugh. I'm definitely going to take a cold shower tonight. Just on the virtue of how stinky hot it is. Ugh. God. Miserable. Miserable. Tremendous, believe me. Let me just tell you. Damn, I wish Robert was still in here because apparently Clyde Lewis is talking about alien abductions. Apparently some bitch was on there telling about this abduction story about how she got impregnated by an alien. I'm just like, bro, you really believe this shit? He's like, yeah, it ain't real. I'm like, oh my god. Like, dude, no one got impregnated by no fucking alien, dude. That doesn't happen. That literally never happens. It's like, bruh. Like, I do believe aliens, like other sentient life in a sense, is out there, but they haven't visited us, dude. The idea that they might have visited us is an interesting theory, but there's no way to actually prove it. Dr. Phil's mustache is there to send a message about it. His implied authority. He's the capitalist alpha teacher of our era. Oh, man. Listen, I don't need this disrespect about my mustache. I know it looks like a fucking caterpillar on my face, but I tell you what, I'm Dr. Phil, and you don't want to fuck with me. 'Cause, see, when I have to put my foot down, I gotta put my foot down. 'Cause I don't take no disrespect on my show. And, see, when you get me cursing and stuff, that's when, in my vulgarity and expletives, that is when you are taking it too far. And I need you to take a step outside of my show for a second and cool yourself down. Because I am here to tell you that you need to get some help, and we're here to delve into your problems about why you need to go buy into these private, treatment centers that don't really actually help you. It's just like, yeah, good idea. And also, let me make money off of your problems. Because I'm Dr. Phil. I mean, he really does, though. I mean, he's just a big snake oil salesman, but how he sells is by just showing off other people's problems. And it's just like, hey, America, here's a bunch of people with problems. And constantly reminds children the value of minimum wage jobs. There is no value to it. Take it for someone working one. It can get you by, but that's it. That's about all you got. Values minimum wage. And the thing is, it's undervalued. It's purposely undervalued. Because if it was tied with the inflation rates, it would be about, I think, $20-some instead of $15. $15 is just what makes it livable. And it's just like, I'd prefer it being kind of tied to like the inflations of, every like district or state or county to each state. But, because because it varies from state to state, depending on where you're at. So, like for example, it'd probably, like the living wage would probably be like $20 or something like that in New York, but in Wyoming, it'd probably be more like $10, for example. I don't think those are, like, actually accurate, if you look at the numbers, but I'm making it as an example, just to kind of show, the difference. So it's just like, instead of actually accommodating to the region about, how the value of the region is, because if it's, like, a pretty cheap area, you don't, and everything's relatively cheap, you don't really necessarily need a high living wage, but at the same time, you still want a living wage. And whatever that so by that principle, whatever that living wage is, depending on where you're at, should be what the living wage, should be your minimum wage. So that's just how I view it. Like whatever the minimum wage is for like every municipality, county, region, the details of how you, implement it. So, I'm open to, what would be the best, for depending on the region or how the state wants to do it. But overall, I think the federal standard is whatever the minimum wage, whatever the living wage is for each area should be what should be the minimum wage. That's how I see it. And then whatever the most like minimum wage is, have that be the federal minimum, and have that, and whatever the adjustments are, have them adjust as needed. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it might go up, sometimes it might go down. Depends on how the whole overall economy operates. It's a whole exploitation of labor society built by the rich and maintained by the greedy. Yeah, it's It's the whole issue with wealth income inequality in general. where they hoard all the money and then put in tax havens, where they basically give like a couple breadcrumbs every now and then to satisfy everybody else, and that just keeps them just far enough. That keeps them just enough from having like this whole revolution idea or whatever the fuck, from basically putting everything to a halt. Screw them over before they screw you over, pretty much, and they have the power to easily do that. Screw us over before we screw them, basically. The rich know the number one rule of business is not to get shit on the stick. Yep. The art of the deal. The art of the deal, believe me, tremendous. It is tremendous. Got a little bit going on here. Let's dump the rest of this and grind some more later. Catch this out, grind some more. I feel like I don't know what this rule fall under, but I feel like there's another rule that they also abide by, which is the whole distract, divide, and conquer, basically. Like distract from the problem that that you're being fucked over, divide them all up so they're even more distracted at each other, scapegoating each other, and then essentially conquer all up the wealth and exploitation from that. Which is something that we have seen time and time again. I mean, one thing I even found out is that there was two different things during the whole Red Scare movement with George McCarthy and shit. He John McCarthy, not John McCarthy. That was a Glenn Beck move. Oh God, because he said John McCarthy, blah, 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 instead of like whatever his actual name is. Well, anyway, but you get the point. But he was all like on top of the Red Scare was also like, you know, pretty much like trying to exploit like the idea that, oh, there's just like a homosexual agenda too. These homosexual communists, blah, 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 blah. Like, which you still hear to this literal very day. Like, you still hear these exact same arguments enacted today, and it's just like, oh my God, really? You know, like this whole McCarthyist tactic of just like, let's go after the Reds or the commies or the libs or, you know, the general lefties or, you know, whatever scapegoat name you want to call them. You know, that's just always been something, at least on the right-wing perspective. It happens on the left too, where you see it, where, you know, like the white supremacist, the neo-Nazi, the, you know, the alt-rightist, or, you know, like you see it on the very same thing under the end of the stick, and that's the whole divide and conquer tactic. Divide all these people up who are, for the most part, just outright disenfranchised. And they're all mad and angry at each other, but instead of being like, hey, let's talk to each other and figure out, you know, a way to solve our problems as a community and shit, let's instead, you know, let's just yell at each other, you know, go at hashtag movements and just berate each other and, you know, throw punches and throw milkshakes and shit. You know, because of the manipulation and manufactured consent of the media and the system being like, hey, it's okay to, you know, go after these people and be like, hey, it's okay to, you know, because these are your actual enemy. Billionaires constantly say shit like, never undervalue your labor and know your worth. Oh my God. Yeah, this, oh man. See, like, as a nihilist, I don't think there is an inherent value or worth on a human being. However, that doesn't mean you can make a personal meaning for yourself. You know what I mean? So that means what I mean is, like, you know, there might not be an inherent meaning to you, to, like, you know, an individual in themselves specifically. However, you know, how they decide to derive any meaning for themselves, you know, to have fulfillment is up to their worth and up to them. You know, so this whole idea of never undervalue your labor and know your worth is very arbitrary, because it's basically how you view. It's pretty much like, how do you view yourself? You know, it's just like how do you think of yourself, basically. Like, do you think you're a lazy shit, or do you think you're a hardworking person? Do you know your worth? Oh, it's like, it's very arbitrary. It's just like, it's just like, well, what is my worth? I don't know. Like, for me, I don't know, because I don't think there is an inherent worth in me. However, I am very worthy, very resourceful in various different things and jobs, trades, and etc. Where I can definitely be a helpful person and very valuable, and and I know my worth and those type of things. However, with that, do I have any opportunities or any abilities or applicability in my area to apply those my worth in that sense? And if I don't, how am I supposed to put my value and my worth into the system and into the local society and commerce and participate in it? If there's no way for me to do that, then I'm just kind of left out in the dust to be forgotten about, right? So, it's like, this whole idea of never undervalue your labor is, one, bullshit, because that is a manufactured thing, where it's just like, your labor is just undervalued, just on the virtue of it, just because of how the system runs. If you're working a minimum wage bumblefuck job, you're heavily undervalued for your labor. So it's just like, never undervalue your labor is bullshit. Like, you have no way of valuing your labor. Like, your job position, while, you could be the hardest working motherfucker, and putting the most value in your labor in that job as much as you can. But, how they pay and compensate your services for that can be very undervalued, depending on how depending on if they care more about profit or care more about, giving you a wage. So that is an artificial thing. It's not something that you can just put on yourself. Now, you can, if you want to be a lazy, someone who actually doesn't want to work and just be like, I'm just going to kind of sit around all the moment. Like, I mean, if you're going to be that guy, then you're kind of, by proxy, putting even less value on yourself by not putting the effort to at least, do the job. You're still being paid to do it. At least try to do the best you can despite that, But at the same time, you can still understand and realize what's going on, and understand that, hey, I'm trying to put the most of my labor and value into this job, but it's artificially being undermined because I'm not being compensated enough for this, and because I've been here for this amount of years and I haven't gotten this a wage increase for this amount of however long, and our whole, there's a whole bunch of implications and issues and examples I can go off of. And again, and with the whole know your worth, that's kind of an arbitrary thing that's up to you to decide. So that shit's just bullshit. At least to me. It's just like, how do I know my worth? Well, at the end of the day, I really don't know. But, I know where I am, but I know what my worth is in various different things. When it comes to creative arts, music, etc., and just talking and bullshit and talk about different ideas, like I am right now. I know what my worth is in various different things. However, is there any value for me to apply that into the current system? Well, a little bit, because I'm doing it right now, but it's very heavily undermined and undervalued. So, I can be, while I'm not putting as much effort into these, as I probably could be, I still do these for fun and shit, but the whole aspect of it is that it's being undervalued and undermined. I would actually have more of an incentive, to be like, oh, I'm actually getting some more followers and views and shit. I should probably, make sure I kind of up the quality and stuff so I can, increase this type of thing from happening. You know, because then it'll be like, oh shit, I could probably help maybe get a little extra income, and then I could not work as much at my job, and you know, because I have two forms of income, and then eventually I could be like, oh shit, I have enough followers and people watching me and shit where I could probably self-sustain from this, and then I could start moving on from there. Like, you know, there's a whole implication about this whole thing of like, you know, never undervalue your labor. Most influential people have careers just speaking on television and radio. They get paid just to talk, but unfortunately, they talk about how the economy is failing most people. Yeah, because they get rich on basically telling people how rich they are and how good things are. Because they're backed by people who like the idea that the status quo is continuing to happen. See, people who grind against that shit, like me, and people like TJ Kirk with Pessimist Productions, or even, you know, Drunken Peasants, or various different podcasts and all sorts of, you know, of the like, you know, whatever your podcast is and whatever you're into. Like, you know, even shit like Alex Jones, for example. You know, like, or even TYT to some extent. Like, these are people, organizations, and movements, and you know, like TV or radio or whatever, that get undermined because they grind against the status quo. So to get undervalued artificially, because it's like, oh, we don't like the fact that you're grinding against the status quo because you're saying that things aren't good, even though things are good, so shut up. Shut up and be silenced. You're not valuable to us. You're not valuable to the system because you're working against it. You're trying to undermine everything. You're not valuable. You're not worthy of this. It's like a guy who gets rich selling how to get rich books. Oh yeah, fuck those type of people. They're stupid. I've seen those type of books. I'm just like, these are the type of books we should be burning. You know, it's just like, burn this bitch. Fuck this. I'm not even going to buy it. I'm just going to burn it right here. Fuck this book. I don't give a shit. It's a shitty book telling you how to get rich. It's just a scam. So there's more right here. I'm only burning one. Go fuck yourself, you know, and then just walk out. How to get rich in 10 easy steps. 1. Sell all How to Get Rich in Easy Steps book. Yep. Step 2 through 9. Question mark. Step 10. Profit. That's basically what it is. It's just like, okay. It's like, fuck you then. Ugh. Oh, you wanna just remember that I heard earlier today? Is that Christian Jello brand, the embodiment of Jello, dropped out. Why is all the fruit, like, so to kind of pivot to the Democratic shit, like, just for a little bit, like, why are all the food products leaving? We got, like, the Hickenlooper cereal brand that left, and now we have the Jello brand that left. The embodiment of Jello and cereal left. Like, we're running out of people to make fun of, guys. I'm getting sad. We still have Delaney, so at least we got him. Anyway. But then they create an entire political ideology to benefit the privileged Rush Limbaugh, Jordan Peterson. Yeah. Yeah, or like even Dave Rubin to some extent. Just like, you know, I agree with that, but actually I disagree because you're a dummy. And actually, I'm superior in all ways to your ideology and philosophy. At least with people like Rush Limbaugh, no one really fucking listens to his dumbass anymore. It's pretty funny how there's people that still listen to him. It's just like, wait a minute. You're still around? Like, it's actually kind of sad he's still trying to cling to some relevancy. It's just like, you're a fucking idiot. Just like, get out of here, dude. It's like, go away. You're pathetic. Like, you fell out in obscurity, like, after 2004, bro. Go away. Cultural scam artists, tumors selling out to their own people. Yeah, dude. Yeah, like, I feel bad for Jordan Peterson fans more than anything, to be honest with you, because it's just like, dude, you're really kind of falling in for some bullshit, dude. It's just like, look, there's some things about, you know, Peterson I'm whatever, and I don't care about. Like his self-help stuff, whatever. I don't give a shit. He's just a snake oil salesman, so it's like, or whatever. He might have some interesting thoughts and stuff in there, but at the end of the day, it's not really, like, it's up to you to see if that's a benefit for you or not. Like, it's not like rules or anything that you need to abide by. It's tools, essentially. Like, are these tools beneficial for, like, are these philosophical principled tools beneficial to you? If not, well, discard them, throw them away. You don't need them. But if so, or if you feel like there is some value to it to some extent, take them and use them to your leisure. But if not, you don't need them. Like, I think that's why I feel bad for them, because these same people manipulate these type of things as rules, essentially, because that's what they believe in, and then people buy it as what they've been said as they're like literal rules, or like actual like cultural standards that must be applied, like a strict regimented idea and standards and norms for society to abide by. And then instead of just seeing like these are just tools that to help benefit you to help for yourself in the whole broader aspect of society, instead, because overall it's all just going to change over time arbitrarily. And sometimes you might not like it. You know what? You might not even understand it, and that's fine. But use it to like sell people out and then give them a false sense of hope and shit really fucking disgusts me, man. It really does. Oprah, Brother, Rush Limbaugh, Dr. Phil, Jordan Peterson, Jerry Springer, now Kim Kardashian. Yeah, like, honestly, I fucking vividly hate these type of people, because they're just like, because they manipulate people's ideas of like life rules or whatever, instead of seeing them as more like life tools they can use in their life if they want to or not. And for me personally, I don't buy into their faux optimistic, things are like it's all kind of all on you, and it's this and that, you just need to do this and that, and you need these supplements, blah, blah, blah. Like, I ain't buying their bullshit, so I discard it. I don't want it. They can fuck off their snake oil. Now, if there's a couple things in there, and I'm like, oh, okay, that might be whatever. I might take that little snippet of a tool and be like, all right, I might use that a little bit for this thing or not. But that's up to you to decide, like, are these ideas, like, something that are I agree with or not? And if not, well, whatever. I disagree with you. Go away. But if so, let's use it. Like, because TJ's doing his book, The Order of Chaos, The Antidote to Meaning, and I'm pretty sure this is in his chapter 4 in Why Don't Now Just Kill Themselves, where he talks about these philosophical, like, tools, in a sense, of, like, picking, like, these type of implications to kind of help you in your own life, in a sense. Like, like, it's, like, in a sense, acknowledging, like, hey, here's how I view things, and here's, some principles I abide by. However, I am not telling you need to abide by these. If anything, if you want, you can discard anything you want in this book and keep the ones you want to, keep the things that you like in, and keep it in tone to those and agree with those. Like, whatever you agree or disagree with is completely okay. Like, I think that was in his introduction, is like, there's going to be different things, that you might not agree with or might disagree with or whatever. Or you might agree with everything. Who knows? I don't care. It's just like, it's up to you to decide, because I'm not going to be some arbitrary, like, rule defined, or who has a standardization of how society should run, because at least for teachers specifically, there's a principle where it just arbitrarily, naturally will change over time. And it should be, based on just how, like, on a principle on people's own terms, think, what should be all right, for themselves. And I'm kind of on the same principle. It's a sense of, like, it's like kind of a sense of moral relativism, but because it does exist, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's like, oh, well, you have, like, a crazy ideology that says you kind of want to, like, generally mutilate people, or this and that, or whatever. Like, that doesn't mean I'm, like, okay with that. Like, we have to, as societal norms, understand and agree what's, should be better for the greater society and what's not. But beyond that, do as thou wilt, as I said, as Aleister Crowley says, I should say. So, you know, like, that's just kind of how I view it. Like, and anyone who just tries to manipulate these type of, like, norms, you know, that people should go by, you know, whatever, being like, to these type of people, like, you know, Oprah shit, Dr. Phil, you know, even people like Dr. Oz and shit, like, they're just snake oil salesmen and manipulators. So ours, government-funded cultural influence design like products and marketed toward targeting demographics of people. Well, the more like corporate-funded, because honestly, corporations fund the government, and honestly, the corporations are the government at this point. We have like an oligarchical republic, democratic republic, and the democratic is very arbitrary. It's very arbitrary, and honestly, I'm just putting it in there because of the whole elections idea that we have to fool ourselves with. Belarus is technically a democracy, but is it though? You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah. It's there by title, that's it. So, you know, it's just ridiculous. I hate, and, you know, and at the end of the day, it's because, you know, the reason why they do it is because they make money. Because to them, that's what their actual principle is. The greens. It's just like, however I can get that, and get my 2 cents, I'm doing it. To me, I think there's an issue with that. Donald Trump, born rich and I, does nothing but defend status, privilege above common folk. Oh, yeah. He bragged about it to at his rallies before. How a billionaire who hated him is like, hey, what are you doing here? You hate me. It's like, well, I'm here to vote for you. He's like, what? You don't like me. Why? Because it's like, because I have to. Because I know you'll benefit my interests at the end of the day. He's like, I basically got him to suck my dick. He's like, nah, it's the other way around, actually. Because he doesn't like you, but he's willing to have your lips around his fat corporate dick just so he can get his. Get his little nut. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, a nut's a nut. He's willing to bust it. So, that's why. He was having his little nut bust right there. He's like, well, a nut's a nut, so fuck it. Get down, bitch. You know? He didn't want to. He doesn't like you. So he's just going to do it out of spite. But he knows he gets his. At the root of his entire ideology is a scheme to defend his overall privilege. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, it's the rich elitist privilege. You know, there is privilege, but it's not like this white privilege or like minority, whatever type of, like those arbitrary privilege ideas. It's the elitist rich, you know, status. You know, it's the privilege of status, basically. Like, you know, what's your status economically, you know, and were you born into that status? And, or were you maybe not born into it, but eventually raised up in it as your family grew into it? You know, not, and not everything out of your control because you just ended up being raised up in it. But, you know, so either way, like, that's why it's so arbitrary, which is why it's like, you know, hey, you know, like, because I bet you if I was a rich person, like, if I was born a millionaire, I'd be a completely different human being. Completely. Even if I had the same parents, same everything, but the only difference is we were born, my parents were millionaires and born that way, and born into that type of economy, so maybe a different house, but still raised in the same place, everything, etc., I'd be a totally different human being. Totally. If you're born a millionaire, you shouldn't be telling anyone else how to succeed in this economy. If anything, you should be willing to give some wealth out, you know, to help out the people. Like no billionaire should be telling anyone how to succeed. They should be telling people, they should be, like, understanding the problems and understand that, yeah, I don't like participating in this, I want to change because I don't mind having, like, a 70% tax rate, you know, on my, you know, $1 million every year or like something like that, because I'm still going to have $1 million, you know, over time anyway, and I'm already a millionaire, so I'm okay with that, so whatever. I mean, there's too many people that don't got their little nugget. You know, like, that's pretty much all I ever want for like a society is like if as long as they got enough of a nugget for themselves, whatever that nugget is for them, whatever is the most comfortable, like whatever gives them the most incentive to just get there, to have that, good start opportunity for themselves. Let that be their, that safety net essentially be like, here's enough of a nugget for you to get ready, to kind of bloom yourself out, and start getting ready to seek opportunities and shit, a system built up with that. That's something I advocate for. Like everyone, to me, pretty much it's like everyone has a right to, get their nugget. Here's like a little nugget, but you can make it a nice little nugget for yourself, a nice little juicy nugget, to hold on at the end of everything. Be like, here's a nice nugget for you. You ain't gonna make it big. I hope so. I really do hope so. I don't really got hopes he will make the nomination, but I do want to see him get far into debates. I do. Because, I mean, it would be really interesting, like, if he actually, I'd be curious to see if he wins primary states, if he stays in long enough. I'd be curious. I'd want, as much as that it will kind of buy into the whole, like, round 2 superdelegate system to anoint, a corporatist, essentially, which, which is kind of why I, want him to kind of, like, drop, but that's pretty much my only criticisms of it, but because there's so many people, but I think he's somebody who's actually important who should stay in. It's all the other fuckers who need to drop out. Like, I think it should just be, honestly, who should just be is Sanders, Warren, Biden, because I want to see him get shit roasted, Buttigieg for the same reason, and Yang. There should just only be 5 there right now. I guess Kamala Harris, there should only be maximum 6. So I think, as much as I like Gabbard, I think she should drop just so she can kind of help cooperate with the campaign of Bernie Sanders. And maybe potentially she can get a position in his administration if he potentially gets a nominee. But, at the end of the day, I want to see Andrew Yang make it. I want to see him make it somewhere. I want, because at the end, if he doesn't win this time, he will get some name recognition for himself to try again later. Because I think he has an idea, and ideas overall that are worth considering. And I think if there's other people that come out with similar ideas like him in the future, if he doesn't continue, then that'll be okay too. Because if anything, they might have a slightly different idea, overall the same premise, but maybe a different idea of it, and it'll be kind of interesting to see where what those type of people might go with it. So either way, he's getting his message out there, and if there's other people who are willing to say similar messages on the debate stages, I'm open to hear those. So next election, if Yang don't make it, but there's other people that start making the same messages in future elections, I'm going to be interested to hear them too, just as much as I was interested in hearing Yang during these elections. So, he plays a very important role no matter what. I think overall he definitely plays a really important role. I mean, the whole for me personally, I think there are specifics in his UBI issues or UBI system that I'm a little questionable about, because I don't think it really tackles the more broader issue. It's just kind of a more simplistic idea of UBI, but I think it's just because he's just trying to get that idea of UBI out there. I think that's just why. So I kind of look the other way over it. It's just like, well, it's the whole idea of UBI that I want that message out there, and I'm sure he's willing to actually go in further detail and actually talk and try to push some legislation eventually, if he were to make it. I don't think that's his end of the I don't think it's that his current one is his whole UBI idea at the end of the day. I'm sure he has more ideas on how to go with it, but either way, he plays a really important role. That's why I like him a lot. It's I feel like he's a little too, American libertarian-ish for my leaning, in a sense where it's just kind of free market, we could still have the free market enterprise thing, but we need to also have this UBI thing, it's well, the free market thing, I don't know if they're going to be able to work as well in that sense. I feel like the UBI needs to be far more expansive than that. So, I mean, that's kind of at least my main criticism of it, but again, I mean, I don't know if that's his whole entire idea, or if he's willing to, maybe make a more lefter variant of UBI, but I mean, if next elections, if there's other people making a UBI argument, wherever they lie, on that, on their proposal of it, I'm totally willing to hear it out. And if Andrew Yang makes another run next election, I'd be like, oh, cool, he's trying to get his name recognition out more. And he's probably kind of, tweaked up his UBI idea probably. So he's and probably going to expand it even more to other issues now that he has some time to, process that a little more. And kind of work on a way to get his message out there better. So, either way, his run, in the 2020 primaries right now, I think is, overall positive for him and the whole idea of a UBI. With extra $1,000 a month, I would try to start some new business for sure. For me, I would just, I can actually invest in shit for this. I can actually potentially have my own studio I can go to. Not only just for podcasting and doing streams and shit, but for making music, for maybe having an actual set in place where I can maybe do writing or, do a lot of creative attributes that I'm actually very well, where I know where my worth is, to go back into that thing of know your worth. With that arbitrary sense, I know where, I have a lot of worth into, but I don't have an opportunity because I don't, because, I could think of so many different things with extra $1,000 a month. I can totally, invest in shit to fix up my entire house, bro. I can invest in an actual unit to probably, at least have a spot where I can get shit out of here and sorted it all out, maybe do a whole sale thing so I can maybe make a little extra cash because I'm selling random shit. Craigslist, like a whole sale out in the yard or whatever, poor man's way of making a little extra buck, basically. I can make 1,000, probably 1,500, basically. If, pretty much like that. I can make a little extra to help me get by. I can actually invest in college and just because I want to, and, because there's a class, that's the actual credit class. It's I think it's called, a band performance. It's literally just a once a week, for 3 hours, and you're just in a room with a bunch of other musicians, and you just collab with each other and do cover songs. You just, at the first, 2 weeks, we think of some songs, we kind of jam out a little bit, kind of get a feel for what everyone's at. And then, after that, we start practicing, get a set, and at the very end of it, we play a show. I'd go to college just for that class. Just that, just because that's something that's fucking fun, dude. And I've done it, ever since, at least the times I've been there, I've done it every time. And it's fun, dude. It's, it's just a very simple class. Just showing up gives you an A. So, it's just, it's an easy credit class. And at the same time, it's something that I just like, And I think that's what college should be about. It's aspire for people's own, attributes and interests. Because there's a lot of things about college that I do love and interest me, and I want to be in and, be a part of. But in the way that how this current system works, unfortunately, is built on a way of, how does that redirect itself into a career and a job to pay off a lot, to make it, essentially, and to get, to try to get yours or whatever. Instead of, how, to get yours over everyone else, or you're kind of fucked, or your degree just doesn't matter in the first place, because you're going to be working a minimum wage job anyway. And then, instead of actually trying to be hey, how do we strive, to, prosper you as a person in, in a place, where it seems like it'd be tough. So, with that, where do you want to expand in? There's a lot of different things. Like I just said, I have, various different things I'm very creative with. Writing, fucking music, obviously, me playing bass earlier. Various different shit. And it's and I definitely have the inspirations to want to continue to focus on those things, but the current system artificially undervalues that shit. Unless you want to sign into their industries and sign into their labels and stuff and try to make it that way. It's just that'd basically be the only way you can do it. And, you can have underground work, but, even back in, for at least the music industry, it's always been a thing, but being an underground musician, just getting shows, on your own and stuff, is fucking brutal. Even classic musicians who started off that way will tell you, their early years were hard and rough. Because it's we're basically surviving on canned Spam and rice. It's just we survived on that between shows because we couldn't afford anything. And we drank beer because people offered it to us. That's how we got beer. It's just and with what money we did get, we spent it on beer. It's because we don't have anything because we're fucked up. It's we're just touring, getting fucked. It's just damn, son. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it's just like that. Like, it would be interesting, to hear like all sorts of people's different ideas for songs, music, and shit. And at the same time, that'd probably create an overabundance of weird stuff. I mean, and at the same time, that goes for anything. And also, like, even for college, doing for stuff like that for your own personal attributes, there should also be at least, like, specifically, like, trade schools and stuff to where you can be like, hey, I do actually want to try to get these career-based jobs, so, like, for, like, mining industries or for electronic industries, stuff like that. There are, I mean, there should also be specific trade schools for those, getting into those type of industries. And they should, be like, here's all the processes. Get in here, we'll train you, get you accumulated. If anything, we'll get you on site at a place, and we'll train you. Like, we'll have, like, a group of students, to, go on one little corner to kind of, work on it a little bit, kind of give you an idea and shit. That should be kind of like a fundamental rate form in our education. Along with that, 1,000 months would get me a long way, man. Again, I'm not too sure, and I doubt it that Yang will make the nomination. However, at the end of the day, I think him running in the first place with this idea of UBI is very positive. At the end of the day, it's just going to help him, bring the conversation of UBI out there. And he actually did really good the last debate. The second debate, he actually was able to get his argument across. The first time, either he was really undermined or he just I don't know what he did first time. Like, he made me, like, really lose hope in him in that time. It's like, oh god, what'd you do, dude? You had like the least amount of speaking time, and you barely got your message out there, dude. It's like, oh no, not good. And then this debate, he's just like, he kind of went out in force and got his message out there a bit. I'm just like, fuck yeah, dude. It's like, there you go. That's the Andrew Yang I want to see. Nope, it keeps that up. I believe Trump's on until it kill the ever-growing homeless population. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is doing that on their own, just doing, so he's just continuing it. Instead of having, like, public community housing, to try to help out people along with this whole 1,000-month idea, it's just like, it ain't working out. Nah, I don't think that's how it works. You know what I mean? It's just like, nope. It's like, yeah. And also killing people just because of their status is just fucking insane. You're an immigrant or you're homeless. Time to kill you. It's like, what? It's like, how about no? Like, you might end up homeless sometime, bitch. You want me to kill your ass? Dumb fuck? It's like, fuck you. I've had friends who are homeless. You want them dead too, you crazy shitbag? Fuck you. So you know what I mean? It's like, no. It's just like, yeah, even for those extreme, cases, like, you're a pedo? Well, shit, how about we just kill your ass? It's just like, how about no? How about we actually keep you alive, more so just so we can actually psychoanalyze you, so we can actually understand about the thought process and, the reasons and possibilities as to why someone could be like this, so we can actually look out for these type of things and in people growing up, so we can make it less likely for people to be, I don't know, pedophiles. So, keeping them alive is actually far more beneficial than just, let's kill them. You know what I mean? I went to an extreme, but still, same premise. It's just like, how about we just don't kill people, because you can help, not only potentially rehabilitate them, but at least you can, study them and understand where they, the cues are to look out, so we can help not put people in that same position or get develop into a similar situation where they're, wired in similar way that person is, or end up in a similar circumstance. You know what I mean? So it's just like, how about no? How about we just don't kill people or just like put them in cages or lock them up just because of one thing or another? How about we try to base it more towards rehabilitation and psychoevaluation so we can look out, for these type of things. And when, we see signs in people like this, we can, try to at least help alleviate, these type of problems and, try to absolve them. If there are people who are already succumbed to it, I mean, I know there's definitely people out there, there might be like one thing or another, be like, but I don't want to be in this situation, or I don't want to be like this, or I don't want to be in a whatever situation, but I know I am, but it's like, I don't like that, but I just am, and it's just like, well, shit, how about, we try to see what the problems are and try to fix that, and a lot of that lies into, the psychology of that person. I mean, it's just like, where does the psychology, of how that person is, play on top of the environmental factors of, and also of just how their brain is wired too. I mean, it's all of that. Because, I mean, I don't know if you watch Paul Zigo, but he does ideologies and stuff, and I remember one ideology, it was actually a long one, that was recently, he did, like, it was a 4-hour one, like a month ago. And he was talking about human psychology, and he was talking about this one professor he had in college where he, at least initially disagreed with, but it's something even I initially kind of clicked with, is that psychology is everything. That's what his professor told him. And it took me a moment to kind of understand it, but I realized, because psychology is everything, because our psychology is based on perception, and so our perception, our perception is based off psychology, therefore psychology is everything. Because our perception of reality and our perception in our environment and everything dictates what our psychology is. Therefore, psychology is everything. So it's just like, because of that, I put a heavy value in human psychology because of that. Because it really does. Try to, it's just like, when you try to understand the human one's psychology into why they're in that situation or what they believe or why they are the way they are, you're far more sympathetic, or at least empathetic, maybe not sympathetic, but at least empathetic to, to that person, into why they're in that situation. Maybe not, you might not like be like empathetic to their actions. Of course, that doesn't mean I, will like exhume, like, for example, like a pedophile, like, like that's why, even though I want to try to help, stop those type of actions from happening, when they do happen, obviously there needs to be at least some form of a punishment for it, because it's a very abhorrent fucking thing. But, that doesn't mean, you don't just take out the psychology aspect of it and you don't put that as a factor and, realize what that, why maybe this person did what they did and how did they become this way? Why is their psychology the way it is? Basically, the brain responds to external stimuli. Yep, it does. I mean, that, like from everything from having just a chat with somebody to just, thinking about, like, I want to go get food somewhere and realizing, there's, like, something right down the street or something like that, and then, from all, like, just random little thoughts from that is responding to the external stimuli of your environment. Because, I could think, I kind of want to grab maybe, like, something to drink or something like that. Like, I want to grab, before, the cutoff at, like, 2:30 or whatever, and I'm like, well, there happens to be, a little convenience store just, like, 10 minutes from me, so I can easily go walk down there and go grab one. It's just a thought process of, realizing, I can, I know in my environment around me that there's a place where I can easily go grab a beer or something like that if I want to. And, and I can easily acquire that and then come back here and then, have it to my leisure. So, it's just basic stuff like that. But, it's because the perception knowing that that's out there, and my psychology is playing into that perception here too. Psychology is everything. Which is why I'm so fascinated with it. It's because it's a very interesting thing. And, at the same time, I don't even understand all of it. you know, which I think is very well okay. Like, I think, you know, there's definitely psychologists that don't understand a lot about specifics, you know, as to why certain people or very specific people, you know, do things the way they do. Like, we can only understand like why they might have done it due to how their brain was wired and what their environment was like growing up. You know, we can only really go off, you know, on the environmental and external factors. We don't really know why specifically, you know, it eventually, you know, it led to that. You know, we don't know, you know, like where the click eventually came in, like, oh, this is why our brain went this way, basically. Like, there's definitely specifics as to, you know, that people still don't necessarily understand, but there is at least a basic physical aspect that, you know, the brain just ended up being wired that way. But, you know, the wise aspect, you know, there's the environmental factors into it, but you know, the key is like, you know, how come it's that way, you know, and is it always going to be because of that, or is it just because sometimes the brain will develop that way? So let's at least try to, you know, analyze this some more. So let's at least try to take some of these environmental aspects out of it and go from there, essentially, and learn more about this. So, I mean, that's why, you know, it should be kind of more considered, you know, especially with specific philosophical implications on, like, things like death penalty or capital punishment, or things like, you know, interventionist wars and stuff like that, because it really does play in more of a factor that kind of people realize, I think. Because it's like, what, you know, because kind of like the what if, you know, about, you know, like, you know, the psychology of, like, what if you were actually in this situation? Like, what if, like, China decided to be like, oh, you know, the U.S. is doing terrorism, and they just come in a terrorist act. We're going to go, you know, do the war on terror ourselves, and we're going to start invading, like, Alaska or some shit. Like, what the, like, the fuck do you think will happen, bro? Like, you know, like, I mean, you know, what do you think, like, would you be like, oh, okay, fight terrorism, and it's in our own country. All right, we're totally fine with that. Boopity scoopity. It don't work like that way. The Electron Manifestation from Holographic Universe. Let's just see if there's so much Wi-Fi. I mean, it's not really certain that this is holographic, but I mean, overall, it's like, I love how, like, people think you and there's one other dude who on here, like, are literally the same person. It's kind of funny, but anyway, digression. But I was about to say, but I mean, for me, it's just like kind of like the Occam's razor stuff. Like, well, I mean, I don't have a reason to really think otherwise, just because it's just how I perceive reality. So it's just like reality's reality. There's not much I can do about it. Even if it is a holographic simulation, reality, that is my reality, and reality is reality, so there's not much I can do about it. Mainstream science. Never really delved too much into the whole, into it, but actually, where's that little phone thing? There was one over here somewhere, wasn't there? Oh, he took it with him, did he? Bloody hell! I was going to look up into it, but I guess I can't right now. God damn it! God, this chair is ridiculous, dude. God, this is so bad, dude. It's some cringe. I'm gonna lose some social credit points for this. Don't hurt me, China. I love Jinping. I don't want to lose my social credit points. Oh my god. Dude, imagine living in China right now, bro, with that social credit stuff. Bruh, I would just be like, well, I'm gonna have like the lowest social credit score ever. Like, it will literally be the lowest ever. Yay. It's just like, oh god, alright. It's like, so far from participating in society. Especially. God, this chair, dude. I hate it. I hate it so much. I want to get rid of the fucking thing. Brain works psychedelic radio and can receive messages. Demons are basically okay. Hold up now. Start talking about demons. All right, I'm pumping my brakes on that one a little bit. Demons got mentioned. I got to pump the brakes a little on that. I don't know about them demons, bro. I don't know about that. I'm just like, that's my response to it. It's like, oh shit! Oops. See, for me, methinks it's just more about there's things about our consciousness, which kind of here to our like psychology and our brain that we just kind of don't really know too much about yet. There's of course like a lot we have learned recently, and a lot that we have learned about, you know, of our own brain, but at the same time, there's still plenty more to learn. So I don't really deny that, you know, like our brain kind of works in essentially like this, where it's just like, hey, you know, we are, you know, like it works in a sense kind of like a biological computer, because in a way it does. So it's just like, you know, because we're a biological intelligent entity. Like, I mean, so by proxy, in a sense, it, like, we build computers in a sense like, you know, how our brains operate, because we, you know, like, because, you know, our brain's like, what's built this very complex thing that works kind of like a brain, like ours, you know, essentially. It's like, let's make it kind of work in a similar process. You know, just artificial. And its entities who seek to work the enemy and command the enemy is ancient artificial alien web system. People's minds. I still got to pump the brakes a little bit on that one. Who's this enemy? That's the thing. That's a very, very, like, vague thing. I have my system of sliver. I mean, wouldn't that just be, like, the whole, like, what an empire would be, essentially? Like, to control, like, and manipulate people, the common populace, so the powerful who benefit from the wealth of all of it continue to stay in that. Rome did so much that they fell, but plenty of other empires have too with them. So it's a bit of a lost Matrix. Still a little like It still doesn't really give me many answers. Give me many answers for it though. Are you serious until back influence? I mean, is there any physical evidence of these things? To quote Carl Sagan, extraordinary claims do require extraordinary evidence. So I am curious of these, oh, there's not even butane, that's fine. But I am kind of curious of these, shipwood organisms that you, claim of, though, so. Lay it on me, where's the evidence? What be the evidence of these per se claims? God damn it, it's just because there's no fucking butane. I'm gonna have to refill this bitch. Refill this torch. Refill torch. Neuralink, but that's a modern thing. That's not ancient. That's a new technology that's developed. I mean, I won't deny it's kind of like a telepathical thing because of how it's wired. God, this fucking chair, man. Okay, I gotta refill the fucking thing. This is not enough. Luckily, I got it. Time works both ways. I mean, it's still it's still a concept that, I mean, does it? I mean, because, I mean, like, it can speed up or slow down, but there isn't really anything so far to necessarily say it goes in reverse. And also, there's really big implications with going in reverse anyway, because if you go back in time, wouldn't you, by that, then be by proxy manipulating the future? So wouldn't that mean there's a paradox? Because let's say you go back in time and kill, like, you know, somebody in your family tree, that means there's potentiality you won't even be born. And plenty of other people in your family tree won't be born. So, I mean, there's way too many implications with like, that essentially would have to mean there's like a multiple timeline multiverse theory, essentially, but the idea of multiverses is way beyond our own comprehension of, because we don't even know our own universe entirely and how it works. So, I mean, how would we even know how other universes work? I mean, because there's a potentiality for other universes to even have different laws of physics, different laws of reality, and have a potentiality to have different things go on in it that we just have no comprehension of. The great event happened and it started to soon control these language. Singularity was a rebirth. I mean, it's just like my rebuttal was just like, where would the evidence for this type of event be? I mean, wouldn't we have seen something about that by now in our like historical records? Oh, hello, Bandito. I see you sitting over there. You pretty boy. You're so cute. For early human history stories now. I mean, there's like early human stories about like the entire world literally being flooded, but obviously physically something like that can't be happening. I mean, early human accounts only can really go so far. I mean, unless there's like a lot of cross references and other historical documents and the accounts to fill up the actual historical context. But if it's a thing where where there isn't actually cross reference of, but only just like kind of like a tale essentially, kind of like a whole like world to of someone dying in like some village and not knowing the cause of death and thinking, oh, maybe it was like a spirit thing that must have done it, even though the idea the whole death could have been either by disease or maybe by a poisonous fruit or berry or something like that. Could have been like a snake bite, from a poisonous snake. Could have been various different things that at the time they weren't aware of, of the causation of death of various different people, and that's just kind of one example. But so. It's very arbitrary. Like, I mean, there have to be some significant, like, actual historical documentation of, like, something especially of such significant influence, to see something like that. The Earth flooding was an asteroid impact, NASA says. I mean, physically, with how much water there is on Earth, there couldn't physically, possibly be enough water for literally the entire Earth to flood. There would still be a lot of landmass left over, even with that. So but the main the main explanation is the melting after the end of the Ice Age, where early hominids and early humans, were migrating during the end of the Ice Age and. While they were traveling and in their nomadic tribes, essentially, while places, for a short time may be dry, but then suddenly started to flood over because of all the ice melting and receding, because of the Ice Age ending, to them it'll be like, oh shit, the world's flooding, and then, like, you have tales over time told, by verbal tale, like, yeah, the world flooded because they didn't understand it and weren't realizing that, oh, it's just that, the Ice Age is ending and now, all that ice is melting and now all that water is filling up, you just filling the land, receding and, filling up, in the open space available, which is more ground, so it's just like, the continuous migration around is, how they kind of kept going. Neil deGrasse says we're stardust. Yeah, because at the end, like, because all matter comes from the first generation of stars, which is mainly hydrogen stars. So over time, matter has evolved and changed from what used to be stardust and to now what it is now. Like, and by that, everything, it has a little bit of stardust in it. So technically true in reality, in our thoughts and memories about souls was like light. Yeah, it's some in that case it's more of a thought of matter, where all the gaseous matter of what the atomic particles of what these stars are made of over time changed, and then became the matter over time now as of it as we see it today. So it's, in the case of the actual physical matter, not essentially like the proton lights, essentially. Like, now, obviously, there's different things that, are generated from our bodies that, obviously aren't stardust, but I mean, but there is matter and atomic compounds in our bodies that it does originate from stardust. That's what he mean. That's what Neil deGrasse Tyson means by it. Which I think, it's a very poetically deep philosophical point, to realize, and that's really cool about kind of understanding our, kind of our sense of self as a thing. So Einstein didn't believe in time. I think for him it was like time is an arbitrary thing, which in a way it is. I mean, because space-time is it changes depending on where you are in space. And I mean, because we are experiencing space-time right now, but space-time on the moon or space-time on Mars or like space-time just somewhere else in the galaxy would be so significantly different. And plus, the space-time of traveling between these places changes. So it's like the farther away, the more space-time there is in between. Not only just from the distance, but from the what am I about to say? But from the I'm forgetting. God damn it! Whatever. I'll read this comment. You just stated that the past and the future exist simultaneously. Yeah. Well, it's because in a sense, we're seeing the past, from however, like, for example, look up at the moon. That is it's about approximately 3 light seconds away from the Earth. So whatever happens on the moon that we can physically see with our eyes happened 3 seconds ago. And the sun is 8 light minutes away, give or take, approximate. And so whatever happens to the sun, we're seeing 8 minutes ago, give or take. So that means whatever happened on the sun happened pretty much 8 minutes ago. So in a sense, we're seeing it from the past. And that also means whatever happened, like if you are in a clear night sky, like high up in the mountains or something like that, and you are able to look at like the Milky Way and shit, and you're able to see Andromeda, however far Andromeda is, like that's how many years ago you were seeing it. I don't know exactly how far away Andromeda is specifically, so I'm not going to try to guess. But in a sense, we're seeing Andromeda from the past. So in a sense, it might actually be a little closer than we realize. So, I mean, in a sense, because of how space-time travels, it is in a sense, you can just naturally see it. I mean, it's naturally demonstrated that the past and the future, in a sense, can also kind of exist simultaneously, because it's just more of a sense of an illusion, because because it is like seeing the moon, it's where it actually was where it actually was, but because of our perception of where we are, it happens to be slightly in the past. But if we were on the moon, it would obviously be where it actually is, which is 3 seconds ahead from when we actually see it from Earth. So no matter where you are, you'll still be in like that actual present time. Like let's say you're from Andromeda or whatever, but we're able to somehow communicate exactly at the same time. I was about to go with this. Fuck. But we're able to experience it at the same time. We'll still be, at the same time. But if we were able to, and if we're able to look at each other, like, outside, and you were seeing the Milky Way from, at the night sky, but I was seeing the Andromeda from the night sky, even though we're able to still, like, communicate, let's say in this hypothetical, we're all able to communicate, like, at the same time, essentially, then, by look at each other, we'll still be at present time, but physically I can look at you from Andromeda and be like, oh, well, you're that how many million some years off away from me. But again, that's just kind of hypothetical, because we're still experiencing the same time, but our perception of it is going to be different. Jose de God proved it's possible to create false thoughts to project voice images in the brain's visual cortex. It is possible to, artificially stimulate it, but at the same time, it's also possible to do so with substances as well and everything. why would I like take mushrooms. It's kind of why I want to take mushrooms and stuff, because I like the idea of having like artificial projections and stuff, but I want it on my own terms. You know what I mean? That's how bionic eye works using brain implants. Yeah, like with transhumanism. Like, see, I'm okay with that idea of like, hey, I want to kind of see in infrared so I can see some shit or whatever. Or do this or that or whatever using my eyes and actually have like an actual really good vision, or even zoom in on some stuff, actually see some detail, etc., etc. Like actually use that and but on my terms, like I am thinking about how I want to do that, not this artificial like stimuli from somewhere else, essentially. Like I want it to be because of I like am thinking I don't want to see in like current vision. I want to be like in night vision, for example, just so I can see better at night or for whatever reason, because I now have that ability because I have these transhumanist eyes essentially, or at least one of them. So I can just like close one eye and then the other one can just like close it open in different vision essentially. Be like, all right, eye patch, let's do it. Have like an eye patch, be like, fuck yeah, so. As a transhumanist, I like these ideas, but when implemented, it needs to be on the terms of the individual using them, because it should be. Like if a person wants to have that, let that be on their accord and on their terms. Don't manipulate and put your own, experimentation on it. Just develop the technology for people to enjoy and use for their benefits, if they want it. Like, if they want to have, like, a transhumanist, 8-foot, horse cock or some shit as a fucking transhumanist dick or something that could transmit, or, make it, like, a nanobot transhumanist thing that transforms into whatever the fuck they want, I don't care. If they want to do that, that's to their own accord. But, same thing, if someone wants to have, whatever implant it is, that should be up to them and their discretion and how they want to use it. Not in the sense of how they, trying to control a society, just make more people, enslaved into the system. But, that's why I just, like the premise of transhumanism and shit, but the execution is the big, thing for me. It's just, the execution for a lot of these ideas that I have is a key point, because it's, a lot of people get scared of these ideas because of how it does get implemented. And it's just this is, and that's what, because I don't think the technology in itself is to blame. It's the implementation, the people who use it or own it, and that intellectual property and licensing is owned towards instead of used for public good. That's kind of the key point. These type of things should be public goods for people. Professor Delgado demonstrated how when you electrically stimulate regions of the brain responsible for specific cognitive capabilities and emotional states, you can invoke them artificially. Yeah. And I definitely don't deny that is definitely a possibility, because our brains are they're like information sponges. That's why growing up, a big thing I use an example about children and how and them growing up is that they are information sponges, and that doesn't really go away. Now, how much information gets in your head at that point, by the time you're an adult and growing up and shit, by the time you're after period being fully developed, that kind of stops, but it doesn't really change the idea that your brain is still in a kind of an info sponge, and it kind of absorbs stuff. It really is, if you look at a brain, it's kind of like this weird spongy, squishy thing. It's like a pastille spongy thing. It looks really interesting, honestly. Brains are really kind of creepily, intriguingly fascinating to look at. Very interesting things. Very interesting organ, too, So, that doesn't change, really, So it's just it makes sense how, with our technology today, it is possible, especially with just even, substances alone, of how certain substances and certain compounds can change it, especially if implants of transhumanist technology come into effect. It makes sense that is a possibility, and very likely already happening to some minor extent, to some on certain populaces or maybe on certain individuals currently. But later on, it could develop into something more. See, those type of things I'm very against about the whole aspect of transhumanism, because again, it should be more of like a public good for people to have. Not necessarily just to have, but, just like, here, have at it, Hoss, whatever. But, something to, like for people, if they want to, invest into learning how to do, to get these type of things for themselves. I'm okay with. It's just this, the whole manipulation, gain of exploitation of all of this is the whole issue with it. That's where it all stems for me. He's the oldest version of computers in the 1950s and 60s, connecting monkey brains on the internet. Back when then the internet was only used military system. Yeah, it was only a government, mainly military used that scientists and military officials used. Eventually, around the 90s, I think mid-90s, it became a public thing for people. It then slowly got privatized, especially with service providers, etc. It needs to be publicized. Your internet needs to be a public, like an online public square for people. It really should. I think that will help. I think that's one step to at least help combat a lot of some problems on the internet, is make the internet a public utility for people. Some countries have done that already. So, I think South Korea has done that. They have, nationalized their telecommunications and internet industries, and it made it, some of the best in the world, if I'm not mistaken. It's just we can do that. What the fuck not? It's just oh, too much money, infrastructure costs, wah. It's just wah. It's just we spend billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars on our military. I think we can afford a little bit of reformation of our nationalization of our telecommunications industry. So shit, it's just shish. I don't need to hear that. In 1965, government even talked openly about using plans to calm the Negro public. Oh, government getting edgy. Government getting a little edge going. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised because, as much as I hate the whole, racial shit, especially today's political climate, time to time, you know what I mean? I was hearing, some rumbling outside. I'm hoping that's just a recycling bin and my dad might be taken out, but I don't know if he's outside. It's really late anyway, so I don't know why he'd be doing that. Should have already been done, but anyway, whatever. We're getting invaded, bro. The aliens are coming. That rumbling outside, aliens landed. About to get abducted, bro. About to be, alien impregnated, bro. It's all over Science Magazine and Neuroscience newspapers looking to Yale brain implant research. Professor Jose Delgado. I think I remember one time I kind of delved into Jose Delgado a little bit. There's a lot of stuff that was intriguing about his stuff. I think this would be kind of a backburner thing, but that would be kind of somebody as an idea to kind of do ignarism on him. Just kind of off whim and just be let's pull some research and be let's delve into research together, guys. I don't know much about this fellow, so let's kind of investigate this stuff. I might just kind of glance through it, just to kind of see cross-references and stuff like that, kind of get an idea of, kind of get a rough idea about it, and just him overall and stuff, and just be all right, here we go. Leo wanted to use electrical brain stimulation to create a psycho-civilized society. Nope. See, I don't... I don't mind this whole premise of electrical brain stimulation technology and shit, but I don't want it like that, if someone wants to have a little thing, a chair thing to sit in or whatever, and have a thing go on their head, or just have hook up or whatever, and they just kind of sit there and then get a little on their own accord, whatever they want to be stimulated with. I want to think about this shit or be stimulated with this stuff, and be just kind of sit there and just kind of do that, just for a minute, be I want it for about this long, however long, but alright, and be all right, I'm good, just, come out of it or whatever. That, if people want to do that, that's fine, that's up to, again, it has to be it's for their own accord. That's kind of the whole premise of it, but I don't, like, I hate this whole, like, let's use it to just, you know, like, control society. It's just like, how about no? How about go fuck off? It's just like, no thank you. I don't, how about no? How about no? Like, if I had, like, a little thing right here, and I could be like, boop, you know, and I can just be like, alright, let's get, like, you know, electrical extra stimulation or whatever, just for the fun of it, you know, just for a little bit of time. You know, that should be up for my own discretion. And be like, and then be like, boop, I'm done. You know, just be like, alright, I'm good. You know. Like, when it comes to, like, I guess my specific transhumanist philosophy should be more of, like, a physical thing, not like this wireless or, like, Bluetooth thing. It should be just, like, a physical adaptation for you, you know, in a sense. Not, like, something that, you know, has a wireless thing in it or whatever. I mean, that's why, I don't know if I was saying on this stream, I said it somewhere, I don't know if it was on the stream or maybe not on one of the streams, but I remember saying to one of my buddies, at least, that I'm very, like, okay and want to advocate for transparency in science and research development. Like, there should be 100% transparency in it, because, I mean, overall, shouldn't that stuff be, like, isn't that, like, that type of research and development, especially, like, science and medical research, especially, like, isn't that for the benefit for the good of the populace and the people? So why not have it transparent, so everyone understands and knows what's going on with the research and development, and understands, you know, what is, you know, done for their taxpayers and dollars for the research and development for these type of things. So then it's just, so there's actual accountability in case some, you know, unscrupulous shit gets crossed, and if that shit happens, then that can be accounted for. Like, I mean, that, you know, at least in a hypothetical society, it runs a little better than this. Michael from Phoenix also sent a documentary about Professor Jose de Gau's experience on young children, where he was able to control their every emotional, including sexual arousal. Whoa. So I'm just like, whoa, what? Damn, son. Very service shit, bro. I'm gonna have to look into that. Hey, B-Sauce, Michael here. It's just like, oh shit, bro. You want to hear about kids getting emotionally controlled, including sexually aroused? It's like, whoa, what? Documentary is called Remote Control People. Oh, damn. Yeah, I'll have to look. Yeah, I might look into that tonight. Check that out. Have nightmares before bed. From Science Channel. Oh, really? I like the Science Channel. Well, not so much anymore. It's still a fun little channel, but I like to see from time to time, if I ever find myself watching TV. Usually my dad does, and that's usually one of the channels he's always on. So, by proxy, if I ever happen to see it, sometimes it's just on that. So, anyway, but, you know, still good, but it's just like, minorly lame. Just like every other channel. So only if it were legal, you could simulate your brain to feel alive 24/7. See, I don't know if I want that. See, I don't want to be like, I'm happy literally all the time. That sounds like a nightmare. Like, no thank you. Like, I don't, like, I mean, is it actually thundering outside? That could be the reason why I'm hearing rumbling continuously. Dude, is there thunder? I hope there is. But anyway. That would definitely get happy out of government. Yeah. See, I don't want, I just don't want to, like, have that, like, I'm happy all the, that always, like, nah. Like, you know, I want to actually have, like, a realistic, you know, be in reality, you know what I mean? Be like, yeah, here's the actual situation, you know? It's like, yeah, it's good to, you know, kind of step away from it from time to time and just kind of, like, reflect a bit. But at the same time, you know, just don't let that literally be all the time, and just like let it be like a, you know, blinding shields to what actually is kind of shit. It's kind of the implications, not just kind of in your personal life, but just kind of the reality of what situations are. So, I mean, if you're like, I just, because overall, there's people that are just like that already, and it's just like, ugh. You're always happy all the time, even though you're like, really, you're not saying how fucked everything is. It's like, you're gross, oh my god. It's just like, oh my god, thank God I don't think like that. So, I mean, as much, it's like, because I'm like those type of ideas, but I would not want to do it literally 24/7. Neuralink is a same antenna system able to simulate the brain to see signals from the brain alone. It's called synthetic telepathy. Yeah. Yeah, again, like, I'm, like, the whole premise of, like, a, quote, Neuralink system is a little, I'm kind of on the fence of it, because it's, like, the whole, how it is being executed, I'm very questionable and very skeptical and very, a little, unnerved about. But the whole premise and idea of it, I'm like, I don't know, I mean, it's, like, is there, like, it'll depend how it's done, It's like, is it, like, something that could be, like, a wired thing, or wireless, like, or is it just something that enhances your thought processing already, or, it's like what, or just kind of expands it so your brain is basically more like a supercomputer instead of just, like, a biological one? Like, what's the implications of this, Like, the premise of it, I'm a little bit open to, but as a whole, I'm pretty skeptical of. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm always skeptical of these technologies anyway, as much as I advocate for them. But it's just like, because of the implications that potentially can arise from these things, and it's just like, no bueno. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with these negative implications. Like, we should try to make it as benevolent as much as to the benefit for the public as possible, with the least amount of ramifications and negative, like, especially like authoritative narrative as possible. I mean, it's not to say that will stop all of it, per se, but the accountability needs to be there. I think Elon might mind control to build more secure system of mind control for the entire population. Whoa, meta mind control. Mind control to mind control more people, because we gotta mind control all the people for meta mind control. Mind controlception, bro. Holy shit. But, I mean, I think he's just somebody who's just, like, super smart and wants to develop a lot of technology, but he's just doing it as a profit motive, too, on top of that. Because he's a capitalist. That's what he is. And, that's what he, at the end of the day, wants. I mean, he builds all this cool technology and shit, but doesn't, like, at the end of the day, doesn't really benefit the public and, like, everybody. It's just like, I don't know. Probably not. Like, because I'm always open to his SpaceX, adventures, and, his, and kind of interested to see where he goes with Tesla and stuff like that. But there's definitely plenty of things I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like, what other things you got going, bro? You seem to be juggling a lot of shit at once, and some of it you seem to not talk too much about. And it's just like, this whole Neuralink thing, I mean, it's just like another one of those, what are you doing, bro? It's just like, what are you doing? It's a really interesting concept and really cool premise, but I'm just skeptical of it, and I'm just not sure about it. I mean, it's like, I don't, like, until we actually can see what the actual public implication of this thing is, and actually can see, like, on a public scale, what this can do, I'm just like, I don't know. And if it's fair, if it ends up being alright, it's like, okay, whatever. But as long as it's not like, pushed or whatever. But it's or like, as long as it's like a voluntary thing. But if it's like this thing of like, hey, let's literally like, you know, mandatory that, you know, it's just like, you know, and actually have like a Bluetooth thing. If it goes really super deep into it, you know, it just sounds super questionable and just really like weird and wonky. I'm gonna be like, I don't know. Ooh, whoa. Light flickering. There's some weather going on outside that I'm missing out on. You know, I actually have a decent charge. I kind of want to go out there. I'm taking y'all. I'm gonna leave my bowl right here though. Cause there's rumbling outside. A light just flickered. Like are the nukes dropping? Did someone bring on the nukes? Hey, Bandito. You're just like in the most inconvenient. I'm just going the other way. Bandit's like in the most inconvenient spot. Oh, it is. I think that is some thunder. Oh yeah, it's cloudy as fuck. Oh my god, I gotta trim these fucking kiwi vines again. Oh my god, what the... Oh. Alright, I just want to see if I can find some flashes, because that would be cool. If we can see some flash. I'll flip the camera. Is it flipped? Yeah, it's flipped, okay. Huh. Well, where's the thunder? Or at least where would the flashing come from? I'm just gonna be out here for a little bit just to check it out. Everything else along Musk is known as badass, but Neuralink is literally the work of the CIA. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, because I think Elon Musk overall, I think, you know, him, like, on a personal level, I think actually, you know, it tends, you know, kind of a good intention, but overall, you know, I just don't, you know, it's just like, I mean, maybe it's just a consequence of him having to, you know, be complicit in the current way the system is, or because of the government contracting he gets on top of, you know, his, you know, ventures into what he does. I don't know. I mean, you know, he's definitely a very interesting character, though, at the end of the day. So, you know, if it is anything, it's potentially, you know, maybe a government contract is like, hey, you know, you can actually make a big investment in this if you do this little hush-hush on the side thing, you know what I'm saying? You know, so it's just like, it could be that, and he's just like, well, okay, I'll be all right with this. I make money. Or, I don't know. I mean, if it could be, you know, various different things. He believes we're already in a simulated reality. Yeah, I think he also said that he wants us all to be kind of in our own little computer anyway. So I think just with this whole, you know, of his ideas, and, you know, I think that, you know, maybe there were people making a government contract to, you know, potentially exploit his views of that, of just like, hey, let's look, you know, take a look at this guy and, you know, take advantage that he kind of wants these things and use it for our own benefit. There's like a little squirrel or possum or... Oh, what the fuck? Whoa, dude. Whoa, what the hell, bro? Whoa, where was that? Whoa, that like lit everything up. Was that even caught on cam, bro? That was in the air, because I'm not hearing a strike. Dude, that was in the air, bro. That didn't strike anywhere. I'm not hearing... Whoa, that was spooky, dude. Whoa, that was so spooky, but really cool. That was pretty legit. What the fuck is over here? Well, spooked it off, whatever it was. Oh no, I heard a strike. Ooh, it was way down to the south. So that was like miles way down there. The storm is coming from the south, I think. Storm's coming. Dude, that was pretty spooky. That like Most of that must have been in the clouds for the most part, but struck way down south, probably southwest, I think. But that lit the night sky like everywhere, dude. That like was like a flash before my eyes moment. Like, oh shit, I saw my life flash before my eyes. Oh, dude! Holy shit! Oh, I hope that was caught. I kind of saw that, dude. Oh my god, that was so... Wow, that was cool. I'm also really high, so I'm just like... That was like, whoa. Wow. How many seconds was that? I'm kind of hearing that right now. Ooh, that was a long one. Ooh. Love it. Dude, I'm gonna just hang out here. Fuck it. I'm hanging out here. I love these nights. I love thunderstorm nights. There's like a good smell in the air too. Ooh. I wish I could be on my roof, but that's probably not safe. It's probably not the wisest idea. But I'll stand on this thing. Oh, that was really cool seeing that one. Man, there's a lot of activity on there. There's a lot of... All the storm is way down south over there. It's probably like 20 miles, 30 miles away maybe. Just give or take, considering, well... Yeah, maybe. Something like that. So, it's probably hitting like... in between Eugene and... Or in between Salem and Portland. Somewhere between there. That would be my guess. Maybe closer, but... I'm not sure. But, man, is it lighting the night sky up, though? Kind of waiting to see if there's going to be more. I know there's a lot of activity down there. I'm trying to see where the clouds are moving because I'm seeing some of them that are darker than others, and I'm trying to see where they're moving. See if it's coming this way or not. Ooh. Looks like they're moving east. So looks like they're going to go eastward. So I don't think they're going to be this way. I think we're just getting the edge of it. For some reason, I'm just expecting like this big... There's like a tree right over here. I'm just, for some reason, expecting it to just go... Just like have one just hit right here and just like have a loud shebang go on and shit. That means... I would be like, oh my god... I'd freak out, and I'd be running, dude. I'd run back inside. I'm like, okay, that's too close for comfort, too close for comfort. But I don't think it's the thunderstorms and all that magnetic activity is up here. I think it's all down there. Yeah, mosquito, no, go away, bitch. Man. There's definitely one thing I kind of wish I liked to be out in places like Texas or Montana is for the thunderstorms. Because, man, they are... I mean, out there, they can get intense. Now, you know, and Dad's told me some crazy stories where he's basically been in the... you know, like the middle of this shit. Where it's just like, oh, I'm going to be like... You know, like where he's literally in the middle of like crazy-ass thunderstorms. And it's just like, oh shit. Having to like, you know, kind of hide in the tree and shit. Play guitar during a thunderstorm. and be granted superpowers. I think I will have to. Whoa! Whoa! I hope that was caught. A part of why I just been pointing it out is just so I can hope I catch shit like that, because that was awesome. But I think I would. Oh, there it is. That was close. Oh, that blew something up, dude. Did you hear that crack? I think that hit a tree. I think that blew up a tree, dude. Did you hear like that, you know, in the middle of all that banging, all that explosion? I think that might have been a tree, dude. I think that lightning strike exploded a tree. Dude. Holy shit. I think I heard a tree explode. Damn, that was mighty intense. Wow. Okay, there was something fucking in here. It's like tripping me out. I know it's probably like a little like either like our cat or one of them or like a mouse or something. What the fuck is over? You know what? I'm gonna have to check that out again. I'll keep this pointed up though. Whatever it is, it's tiny, so I don't think it's our cat. Because I'm not seeing a kitty. Yeah, I think I would have to play guitar in the middle of a thunderstorm. Being on the edge of it, I don't think it will grant me many powers. And also, whoa! That stretched out. That was like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 miles away. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh, shit, that's awesome. Ooh, one right there. That was a stretch across the night sky. Damn, this is awesome. I'm loving this. Didn't think we'll get this tonight, huh? It's definitely cooling down tomorrow for sure if this is what I'm getting. I'm loving it though. Man, these are like some thunderous booms too. Like it's striking shit. I think it's just like hitting trees and straight up objects. I don't think it's just hitting the ground. Well, it is, but you know, I'm sure it's hitting more than that. Like I know one hit a tree because I heard a tree explode like with one strike for sure. I heard like audible, like what would be like the crack of a tree or something, you know. But it was like a thunderous audible crack because a lightning strike hit it. So I was like, oh, a tree exploded. See, I'm kind of wondering if it's about 18, 16 miles. Oh fuck, I'm still get off. Fuck you. But if there's like a fucking if it's about like 17, 18 miles away, it's closer than I thought. So it might pass through maybe. Ah man, I'm getting bitten up. This is not gonna be fun. Move over here actually, since all the action's down here. I'll just move this way. There we go. Let's see what else we see. Bring on the thunder. You've been thunderstruck. Whoops, I tried standing on something that totally failed. I thought it was much sturdier. Maybe I could probably... Oh, there we go. Okay. Man, I'm loving this thunderstorm so far. I mean, it's really casual, but what I'm seeing... Ooh! Oh, those trees blocked whatever that was going on. Oh, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw very light, subtle flashes going on. Oh my God! Oh, that like made my heart skip a beat, dude. Oh, how loud is that gonna be? Oh shit! Oh man, my heart's racing a little bit, dude. That was beautiful. Oh. Whoa. Wow, that got me racing, dude. Holy shit. Wow. Dude, it got wow, there's something going on way down there. I hope you guys are seeing this. I really do. Because y'all are missing out, if not. I feel really bad if y'all can't see it, man. Dude, I'm actually kind of mildly shaking because of like how much of an adrenaline rush I just got. Wow, that was awesome. That fucking... that like lit up everything. Holy shit, dude. Wow. Dude, I'm like fucking like pumped now. I'm all like pumped up. Holy shit. And dude, imagine being a fucking like someone from, you know, like the past, you know, like an ancient, not even ancient, but, you know, like someone from like, you know, the BC era even, or like some Viking or some shit. Man, no wonder, you know, like the Vikings or, you know, the Greeks even believed like, you know, there's gods who struck so thunderous because just hear that, dude. Imagine being in the middle of that and just, whoa, oh, that was a moth. And just being, you know, like fucking succumb to just and not knowing how that is happening. Like, I know how this is happening, but, you know, it's just, imagine just knowing, like, how there's people that, for once, we, as a species, never understood this. And to just know how it works and just realize its complexity and how, well, kind of simplicity even, but just how crazy it works. And, you know, at the same time, how beautiful, but yet so hazardly dangerous and, for lack of better terms, electrifying it is. Oh! Wow, that was a beauty. Well, that kept going. That went way down there too. That current kept going. Oh. Ooh! What the fuck? Holy shit. Oh, what the fuck? Boom! Boom! Man. Alright, I'm going back inside. I think that was the climax banger right there, dude. Oh. God. That is just fucking crazy, man. Look at me. Now it gives us power. Yeah, it does. Oh. Where's my dad? I gotta want to like tell him about this shit. Be like, dude. Woo! I'm all like, ooh, wow, man, fuck. I didn't know that was going on, but holy shit. Wow. That was some thunder, man. Just hearing that, like, what... I can't even really describe, like, that must be, like, how, like, hearing fucking, like, artillery... That was close. That's kind of why I went inside. I'm like, this is getting really close. I'm going inside. It's just like, that's getting intense. But, wow. Wow. It is phenomenal. It is phenomenal out there. Wow. I'm just kind of just stunned. I guess for lack of better words, no pun intended. Stunned. But, man, my heart's racing now. It's just like, ooh. That was another one. That was a good one right there. We just met. Oh, man, I should have. Wow. Now I know how it is to be in Gaza. Oh, God. Wow. Okay. I deserve a slap for that one. Rockets are bombing and exploding out of nowhere. Hearing shit shake, because of all of that. It's like, oh, no wonder the power's flickering and shit. As soon as that happened, I'm like, there has to be something going on. Like, weather-wise. Let me go out there and what do you know? Wow, it is amazing. I'm just kind of like, whoa, just kind of, I mean, it's just because it's so sudden and instantaneous and just like there, it's just like, boom, it just happened, and then just like that echo of, just that like reminder of just that moment of what it made, and just like, boom, just like, it's just like, it's like, it's a powerful fucking thing, and it is just so impressive. It's such an awesome, impressive force of nature. Man, it's just, I'm just like, all like, whoa. Like even, it's a very simple thing that naturally occurs, but when it does happen, it kind of gives you a reminder of like how, in a sense, benign, your power is in comparison to the natural power that can just be stimulated naturally. And think about this. There's thunderstorms on Jupiter too, by the way. Imagine how powerful they are in comparison to these. Just saying. Like, I mean, this is nothing. Like, what happens here on Earth is fucking nothing in comparison that happens elsewhere in our solar system, let alone the galaxy. So it's just like, I mean, we're lucky that we don't have that. They're not even more intense than they already are. Like, shit can get fucking insane, and sometimes there's insane thunderstorms on our own Earth too. But we're just lucky they don't get crazier than they already could be. Like, there's like, I mean, it's pretty impressive at what it can be. That was close. Oh shit! I've been going on for a long time, so I'll wrap it up for tonight, but I'm going to hang out there, dude. It is impressive right now. Fucking impressive. Wow, I'm still like kind of got the adrenaline going, dude. Like, I'm just like, whoa. I guess it did kind of play onto the sense of like, is the nukes being brought? Did someone bring on the nukes? Well, not really, but someone's bringing on a lot of boom booms. There's a lot of booms going on. Good stream. It really was, man. Like, I didn't expect... honestly, like, the highlight for me, really, especially, was just all that. Like, I really did not know what our weather was going to be like, and, you know, so, hey, when questions like, so how's the weather been lately? I can be like, well, there was an awesome fucking thunderstorm the other night at, like, 3 a.m. It's just like... So there, you know, there was that one, you know, so there's, you know, so sometimes, you know, a benign, you know, like, banter conversation of, where's the weather like, sir? It's just like, you know, hey, sometimes it could lead to some great, interesting stories, because that, like, you know, just having that, just seeing that is just like, oh, damn, son. Like, at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, it was, like, barely cloudy, and the night sky was still clear. And now it's just like, now it's like the earth is blowing up around us. It's blowing up. Shit's blowing up around us. I kind of want to see more of it, so I'm going to go out there and continue to experience that. Trust me, review iDubbbz Full Force. I got some shit I need to consider. The iDubbbz thing, Jose Delgado, and then the Vsauce thing with him too, so... There's different things I should check out about that, so I'll probably just listen, like, you know, to those things, and then maybe, like, some music, too, on top of that, just listen, watching this shit, because this is, like, too awesome to miss. Damn. It's a little too quiet right now. I feel like something's building up. Anyway, well, I'll wrap it up for tonight. 3+ hours. Damn, son. Good shit, though. Anyway, I think good session for the night crew, I say. Anyway, I'll see y'all later in the next one, whatever that may be. Obviously tomorrow sometime. But peace out. And I'll see you all in the next thunderous stream that we got for tonight. Or tomorrow, or the next time.